Apparently, it is a portrait of the founder of the studio drawn by his 4-year-old son. It's perfect. It's great. I mean, yes, they've, like, you know, redrawn it a couple times since, but, like, that's their logo. They should never change it. It's perfect. And you launch, like, Tokyo Extreme Racer, and it's like, Genki! It's like, yep, let's go. That's funny and super sweet. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Yeah, it kind of looks silly. Fun fact about the Bay 12 logo. If you don't like the look of it, go into your game files and delete it, and it won't be there when you launch it until they patch it. Let's play some Dwarf, chat. It's Godzilla pointing? The logo? I know it's a thing from one of their games. I don't actually know what it is. I don't actually know what it is. It's just the Bay 12 Games logo as far as I'm concerned. Whoops. Well, I screwed up. Oh well. I'm gonna have a very large file from yesterday that I'm gonna have to cut. Apparently I left my recording running throughout Menace last night, and that means that I have an extra 11 gigs of a video game I don't necessarily need recorded right now. Oh well. I mean, he's just trying to poke me in the head. That's what's happening. I think historically the advice was always, like, mute the tab, but genuinely, I don't know. One spars. I don't know. There was a point in my life where I focused on that stuff and cared very deeply about, like, whether or not an individual web browser was, like, muting the view count. I don't know. Get enjoyment out of the stream. You do you. But, like, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Mercy? I think it's if you want to be counted as ad revenue, you mute the tab. I don't know. Mute the tab. That's the traditional advice. All right, folks. I updated Legends last night. So you should have a up-to-date version of Legends. If you are watching on the Twitch stream, you just type in !Legends. If you're watching on YouTube, it should just be in the description. Or you could just go to legends.blindirl.net. That be my website, yeah. Also, Rich in YouTube chat points out that the Lo-Fi Games studios who make Kenshi is equally silly. There's an ad break about to run. Hang tight. I'm just going to wait for a minute and 30 seconds, and then I will respond to the Twitch. Tends to not tell people anything, because I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think people just extrapolate, guess, and aren't always correct, and then information is a mess. Yeah. Wait. What's up with Kenshi? Oh, that the logo for the developer of Kenshi is a picture of a dude. We were just talking about companies that have silly logos for their company. That's all we were talking about. Almost no dwarves. Almost no dwarves. So you can go into here, and you can go to historical figures, and you could look up John Urist. It's just Chris? Yeah, okay. It's a selfie. You know, you could just look up Urists and see every single Urist who's been born, including Batome, who's born on the early winter on the 13th of Moonstone. He's 27 years old. Is a miller, member of the seed of creation, the cloudy hall of the mahogany mine, the M&M, if you will. They have a child named Ineth. Help Abby. You could go through their full history, however short it may be. In fact, they helped defend the fortress in the Onslaught of Denting in Sunspire, which happened very recently at the end of the last stream. The Onslaught of Denting, where the Pink Seduction invaded us, we were, of course, victorious. But it was a grim battle. I jumped to most recent events. And I grab this. I go to the end. Rewind time just a little bit. You can see all the deaths. Kib was struck down. So was Shem. Goden. Of course, all the goblins that were struck down as well. Who killed who with what? So, you know, you can see exactly what's happened historically. And learn that there is currently one alive cat in the fortress. It's not that they're created out of thin air. The world has, like, populations that are unnamed and not notable. Like, when it says historical figures, it's not counting the not historical figures. So there are populations that just, like, seemingly get appeared out of thin air, but that's just because they weren't historical and their parents weren't historical. So they were born from unknown parents because they weren't historical. You can read that Moreb II was struck down. Moreb was struck down by a goblin, Stastost Gultrots, the dreamy sin of palaces, with an iron spear. But don't worry. Hopefully we'll get to have our revenge. In fact, actually, after attacking us, the Assault of Boring, I think they've actually been in... Yeah, they've been in several fights since. Because they took part in the fight against Sunspire, killed Frisco, killed Moreb, killed 3 other of my dwarves, and since then, clashed with 788 creatures in Profane Polishes. Good lord, man. I think he lives in Profane Polishes, too. Is Profane Polishes not a goblin place? Nightmare of Watchfulness. Huh, it is a goblin location. Goblins are at war with goblins, it seems like. Anyway, hopefully we'll get the chance to kill this guy. Hopefully. Did I make this? Fuck no. No, this is, I mean, Rogue Phoenix probably actually give you some more details. This is an open source thing. This is Legends Viewer. You can just run this locally. That's how it's designed, is to just, you export your XMLs from Legends, and then you can go through all of your history in your worlds. It just parses the information for you and surfaces it, basically. You could find all of this within the game, but good luck. And because the game offers XML exports for the world's history. And I am hosting this on my server, which is by my knee. Apparently this used like 300 gigs of data last week, which is kind of wild to me. But I updated at the end of every fort, and sometimes at the beginning of every fort. In this case, or at the end of every stream, rather. And I did it yesterday as well in the middle of the stream. I might do it in the middle of the stream again today because I'm getting pretty quick at it. But essentially, like, it's all of the raw data from the world that's generated. So if you want to keep up a little closer with what's going on in my forts, just go grab that link and take a peek. Currently, the living dwarves in the fort are, but you may already know this, Squizzly, Tibbe, and I do let it just run. And if it's down, it probably means that either I hit the wrong button on my power bar when turning my computer off, or I'm updating something, or my power's out. The Umbria Alderman is one of our jewelers. We've got Davette, the Royal Beast. We've got, oh no, it's Oak. We've got Lanix, the Glassmaker. We've got Megalodon, the Woodcutter. Giggity McSquat, which is a name. And we've got Ham of Doom, steamed and ready to go. We've got Batome, Urist, we were looking at. We've got Otters. Pulled you back into Dwarf Fortress, you tried the ASCII days, couldn't get into it. You had it sitting in your library, and now you're on a volcano start? Oh, so did you buy it when it released or something, Stoner? Cool. Glad you're figuring it out. This is a game that takes people years to get into. I mean, I first installed Dwarf in 09. I didn't properly get into it until like 2000. Or I didn't start getting into it properly until like 2011, and I didn't really learn the game until like 2015, and then I didn't get good at the game until like 2017. So like, you know, it's a game people bounce off of. Although I think that effect was a bit more extreme a while ago, but we've got Daggett, who I'm going to try and allow to do more things now. We've got some pretty pissed off dwarves, to be honest. We've got Nomald. We've got Maxentur. We've got Captain Radiator. We've got Snail. We've got Gutsy. QN Green Tea, who's killed like 2 Forgotten Beasts at least. And 2 Forgotten Beasts and an Etten, I think. And we've got Cassius Nomad. And I think that's everybody. And Scales. Now, my military is all stationed at the moment because there was a Forgotten Beast here who got one-tapped by Green Tea. So I'm just going to unstation these dwarves. So, this is the fortress currently. That is a giant hedgehog. And the goal of the fort is to build an artificial volcano before the yak dies so that I can sacrifice it to the yak god. Farmer who is unhappy. I will just use my executive decision-making to not give you a red-faced dwarf. Instead, I will give you like a that. How's that level of unhappy? Or like a this level of unhappy. Well, that's an otters, but like a this level of unhappy. I will not give you a red face. Because otherwise you're just wasting your points. Unless your goal is to just die immediately, in which case I'll make you into a cat and butcher it. Because then you'll get your wish. So we'll give you like beard or no beard, actually, is the question. No, I am not a Dragon Quest fan. I am indifferent. I'm aware of its existence. That is... I'm not really a JRPG guy. I played Final Fantasy on my Game Boy Advance SP and thought it was bleh. And then I played Final Fantasy 2 and made it about an hour in and went, fuck this. I'm trying to think of other JRPGs that I didn't hate. I liked SRPGs a lot back in the day. I played like Tactics Ogre, and I never played FF Tactics, but I did play a lot of Fire Emblem and stuff like that, and like Advanced Wars. But I don't know. I'm not a big RPG guy. I kind of never have been. Oh, actually, yeah, I did play Shining Force. Now that you mention it, I played Shining Force on the PC, on one of those PC Genesis collections that also had like Comic Zone and stuff in it. I did play the first and finish the first Shining Force. Yes, I did do that. Unhappy, not tantrum worthy. Okay. Oh, there is an O in there. I don't know how my brain didn't read that O. I was like looking at the word and going, isn't there an O in Phoenix? Why isn't there name of an O in it? No, it doesn't have an O in it. He presents himself modestly and frowns on any flashy accoutrements. He doesn't generally think before acting and rarely feels strong cravings or urges. He can be very single-minded and he takes offered help and gifts without feeling particularly grateful. He generally acts impartially, is rarely moved to mercy, and he finds helping others to be emotionally rewarding. He doesn't focus on material goods and doesn't cling tightly to ideas, and he's open to changing his mind. He enjoys the company of others and likes a little excitement now and then. He tends to be a little tight with resources when working on projects, and scratches his ear whenever he's bored. He needs alcohol to get through the working day, and doesn't really care about anything anymore. I only played the first one, the original Shining Force. It was okay. I mean, I don't know if I would play it now, or if I would enjoy it now, but it was a game that I had at the time, and I didn't have a lot of games at the time, so I played it. He personally holds shrewd and crafty individuals in the lowest esteem, and finds those that develop skill with weapons and fighting distasteful. He values a harmonious existence, and dreams of crafting a masterwork. Shumdi. Yuristov, hello. But Rogue Phoenix, you were asking earlier about, like, features for, like, Legends viewer, and I was deep in a babbling about DLC. What were you asking earlier? He likes claystone and iron and tiger iron in the color cardinal, bolts, shields, cabinets, peafowls, for their enormous fantails, and giant desert tortoises for their longevity. The sound of the rhythmic sweetness some impossible prefers to consume. Bobcat, Teff beer, and apples. He absolutely hates cave spiders. And you've got an incredibly upturned nose, jade eyes with large irises, and a prominent chin. You worship Anan Azmul Od, which is a god I don't see as much, but not a god that I see infrequently. Which one is that? Anan Azmul Od. The god of Twilight! Right, yes. The sparkly vampire god. The god of Twilight. There's an iron bow right there. I'm gonna melt you. So, plan for today. We got invaded at the end of the last stream by goblins, and it was pretty catastrophic. So plan for the start here is we need to get defenses functional. But the actual longer term plan for the stream is I would like to get this lava ready. I want to put lava in this thing. I don't know if it's going to be filled all the way to the top. It might be. It might not. I haven't decided yet. Still thinking. But this is going to have lava in it. That is the plan. You were just saying that people should use the Chrome Tech main version if they run it locally? Got it. Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, this is... I don't know. Maybe you should put some wording in it, like server version or something, but... Do you think that the yak knows that it's dying no matter what? Not to be, like, grim or anything, but isn't that just, like, a state of, like, sentient existence, is that you're gonna die? Like, I don't know. Fear of mortality is a very... sentient trait. So from here, the area goes down to the bottom of this hole. I'm filling in these edges with glass, and it's going to go down through the aquifer here, through the aquifer here, through the aquifer here, through the aquifer here, and not all the way into this level, although maybe I will make it go all the way into this level. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to build the bottom of this thing. But it is going to, at the very least, go down to here. If I go up to the top, I'm thinking about making other pools of lava, like letting it bubble up to about here, and then maybe spread around to like over here, or like over here or something, like very dramatically transforming the surface. Because that would be pretty easy to do quickly, and I think that would be interesting. So that is kind of the plan for the day. Of course, I would like to keep the Royal Beast, my Duchess, alive. We are also getting closer to Mountain Home, or becoming the capital, I guess. Because we are the rank that is necessary to become the capital. So we might become a capital today. I don't know. We might not. And if we do, I'm going to kill the queen. Just pump stack it, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna use mine cards because that would just be too slow. It would take too long. I will have to get it through an aquifer, but whatever. I mean, it won't be that big of a deal. I've done worse. So yeah, we'll just be tubing it and piping it up here. But I think the first actual plan is do a few more additions to this outer wall. And once I've added a few additions to the outer wall, double check that this is connected so that I can actually seal the front door off. And get some siege weapons on top of this, because I want to get some bolt throwers up here. I also want to get some stockpiles up here for ammo. And I'm going to need to expand the size of this military. Maybe not bone and wood ones, just metal ones. So that's really like the plan for the day, is to just continue reorganizing. Who you would nickname Whiny Bitch because he wouldn't stop crying about missing some dwarf? Well, no, that's poor life. I hope that he survives. Mentally. Although it is very fitting that Whiny Bitch became king. That's kind of funny. That's all shirts. I will dig through this. And this. I mean, you don't make the rules here, Cashless. You're a nomad. You don't follow no rules. Just because I'm a homebody doesn't mean I can't make my own rules. Also, Bobtron, hello, how are you? It's good to see you. Hope you's well. I really am kind of running out of this. I'm just gonna use boulders. He says that. I'm just gonna queue up a thing that rock block. Let's just cut all 60 of these. I just want the center column to be the same color consistently. That's all I want. Stoner, I've got my stuff set up so heavily that if anything truly Fortress ending happened, there's like a 99% chance it would just pause. So do I ever worry about that? No. No. Also, I have 3 monitors, so it's very rare that I actually have to tab out for something. But even back in the day, like when I played on one monitor, or like I'll get up and leave and like come back and stuff, I'm generally pretty confident that it'll be fine, usually. That's good to hear, Bob. It's good to hear. As a reminder to everybody, if you're watching on the YouTube side of things, the Twitch chat moves faster because the Twitch chat is a community and audience that I've built up over a very long time, and people tune in when I go live. YouTube decides some days to promote my streams to people, and sometimes it doesn't. And on weeks and times when it doesn't, then the chat's usually very quiet over there. So I don't generally look at the YouTube chat as often as I'm looking at the Twitch chat. But if you're watching on YouTube, please do remember to leave a like on the stream. And just remember that this is a crowdfunded channel. And I get to do what I do because people have subscriptions and throw Prime subs and buy bits on Twitch and subscribe to my blog and do all that kind of fiddly dunk. So if you like what I do and the way that I do it and happen to have a Prime subscription, think about me when it's available. That's all I gotta say. And don't forget to leave a like on the stream regardless, because that tricks the bots into thinking that I'm cool. For a minute before realizing. I will say that, like, if you go into the announcements settings, I'm pretty sure it's still this way, but if you go to announcements, especially Fortress mode, things like migrants, I don't actually think pop up. So you'll just like get migrants and not notice a lot of the time. I see that happening to new people. Same things like with caravans, like those don't pop up. So like you can go through and like make the game pause or just give you a pop-up and then like not pause. You can make it recenter on the pop-up to the point where the game is like completely unplayable. Like every time somebody trips, you could have a pause, pop-up, recenter. Like somebody trips in the tavern on alcohol every couple of seconds. So, you know, like you can make this game strict enough that it's hard to play if you want. If that's something you feel the need for. I don't actually need those. That's not right. I go here. And there's a child sleeping. That's basically it. You're down there. A few more of these. In and outs. Baz Sol says, thank you very much for the Prime for 6 months. Appreciate you greatly. I don't don't need to convert them. We just need to trick YouTube into thinking that we're cool so that YouTube promotes the YouTube stream, because that helps everybody. Like, I don't necessarily want everybody who watches on YouTube to come over here, because some of them are mean. But some of you are mean too, so, you know, I guess it evens out in the wash. But at the end of the day, like, watch on the platform that's more convenient for you. I want Twitch to keep doing about as well as it is, and I want the YouTube robots to tell new people about the stream more often and recommend the stream more often, so that people are told when I'm live, because that's less work for me. And I screwed this side up. How am I screwing these up? Just like building too quickly and not thinking. That's all I really want. I don't know. All right. Your mom always says you're pretty cool. You should put on a jacket then. Or catch cold. It's also weird that your mom speaks in... I guess that would that be like in first person from your perspective? So I guess it would, when she says I'm pretty cool, maybe she should put on a jacket. Yeah. You know what's wild about Twitch Mobile, Sapphic? Or I'm just gonna call you Megalodon. Is it highly, and I mean highly, depends on the phone you use. Like, there are some phones where, for all intents and purpose, apparently works real well. There are some phones where it's dog shit, and there's no middle ground. The humans have arrived. Do I even have a trading depot at the moment? I don't. I know that I was going to put it underground, but... Okay, so I'm going to go down here. I'm also going to make one of these somewhere. I was going to put a temple over there, and then I just kind of didn't. Yeah. I mean, to be totally fair, it happens with most phone brands, like, you know, medical devices that are only compatible with phones that were made in the last 3 years. And it's like, cool. So the person, like, on permanent health care benefits who can't really afford to buy a new phone has to buy a new phone to not die. Well, that's cool. Or to be able to efficiently not die. It's like kind of a pretty common problem, so. At least with Twitch, it's just an app, you know. What's the structure I'm making right now? Will you drop the tower with the yak on top of it? I'm not going to drop the tower. I'm making a big pit, which is going to be filled with lava. Which I'm not entirely certain if this is going to be the be-all, end-all source of the lava, or if this is going to be a reservoir for the lava. I'll figure it out. I think this might end up being just a reservoir primarily, but yeah, the boring dystopia. Well, it's like, you know, wheelchairs requiring an app. Stuff like that. Excuse me. You know, people get annoyed when their car needs an app, but like, yo. I'm gonna make some rock grates. I'm just gonna make like 80 of them. Except I'm just gonna make these at one shot so that it doesn't really affect production much. I can make them out of shale. Also gonna go to tasks by hitting T and just go through here and unpause all of the other jobs, because I had like a dozen or so dwarves die and I had to bury them over here. So I had to get those coffins done really quick, so I paused a bunch of stoneworkers tasks. Maybe some other pause jobs on here. Nope. Not that I'm seeing. Cool. Cool, cool. Cool, 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 cool. If I go to work orders, where are we at? Clothing and stuff is all currently on pause. That's good. Gloves are being made. Cabinets being finished. Got drinks and booze. Beds get made when needed. Charcoal get made when needed. Actually, just gonna make like pig iron. Let's make a little bit of steel. Just make some steel shields or something, or some steel bolts. And then you, bolt thrower parts. I'm just gonna make 6. That's what I'm gonna do. 6 of those. Any advice on getting metal to production started to begin with? I guess the question is, what kind of advice are you looking for? Like, what workshops to build? You make a smelters, and you need an anvil, or do you mean like what to make first? Well, it depends on what you have. I think like my main advice is if like the production lines seem intimidating, don't worry about it so much. Just start building shit. Because a skilled dwarf with a shitty weapon is better than a shitty dwarf with a great weapon. So if you're talking about like making weapons, just use what you got. Make sharp weapons out of sharp metal, and make whack weapons out of heavy metal. So if you have a lot of silver, make hammers or maces. If you have a lot of iron or copper, you could make bronze, or you could make steel if you have access to all the materials, and then you would make axes and stuff. So I guess it depends on like the baseline of that question. Holy fucking bolts. So I got 123 iron, 15 silver, a little bit of black bronze, 10 copper. Slade, but I don't actually think you can mine that or acquire it outside of massive amounts of shenanigans. By that I mean like abusing bugs is a way you could word it. Because that's the densest, heaviest material in the game. But in vanilla, without making an artifact, silver. If you're making an artifact, platinum, right? I'm pretty sure platinum is the densest and the heaviest. I could be wrong. But you can't make weapons out of platinum unless you mod the game. That's still my prison. It's still locked. Still need a proper temple. Just trying to finish up bedrooms. We're about to be in an ad break. I'm just gonna keep designating stuff like this while we're in the ad break. And if you don't have a sub badge, I will refrain from responding to anything you say until after. I'm allowed to cut down 8 trees. So 1, 2, 3. 4. We'll do 4 for right now. Actually, it's early spring, so 5, 6. And they're still all the way up there. We're building a trade depot. Did I skip 2 on purpose? Nope. What shocks me, Nomald, is that so many people don't know that. It's called wood, and they say trees, and they're called trees. Yeah, no, they do. My headcanon is that because, and I explain this constantly, but because trees use mycelium to move nutrients from one tree to another, my headcanon is the elves are all friends with the trees, okay? And those are their buddies, right? You know, they ask them nicely for them to craft stuff for them, and they're very attached to their friends. And the cavern trees are the internet and the phone line. So you're just going around like fucking chopping up all their copper cabling and selling it. And they're like, man, why's the phone out? What the fuck's going on? That's my headcanon anyway. I don't know. Pro tip, if you don't like it, hit escape. Go to settings. Go to difficulty. Go to custom. Scroll down. And then there's a tree fall limit. So I have 8 right now because I actually quite like me, but the default for Untamed Wilds is 5. You can... I could set this to like 50, 100, 300. So if you want to just like have much less strict elves, like just change those numbers. Also, yeah, trading for wood is like easier than trading for stone because like it's pretty light, so trade caravans bring kind of a lot of it pretty quickly. Elves are not what they seem. They're just trying to have a monopoly on wood products. Man, it's like a lightweight, cheap, low-value stuff. Greetings from the woodlands. We have much to discuss. Actually, hold up. I'm going to wait to agree to that until they're done chopping down all the trees. Who's felling trees? You are? Okay. Once they've all been chopped down, I'll agree to the next terms. So the reason I'm trading with multiple factions is because I'm trading with 3 human factions simultaneously right now, every summer. If you demand tribute from some random faction that isn't run by goblins, and they don't already dislike you, they will just trade with you. Like, that's a way of, like, letting them know that you're there, and if they're a neutral entity, they'll show up and trade. So I'm trading with 2 different elven factions because I've done that. I'm trading with both of the dwarven factions, mine and the other one, and 3 human factions. I don't think you can do that. At least not in vanilla Rogue Phoenix. Because if you try to chop down like the mother tree or whatever they call them, the game gives you like you're not permitted to interact with this. Similar, like you get like you can't sleep here if it's a place you don't have permission to spend the night in. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Although, you could embark anywhere underneath an elven city in DFHack and then... Ah! Shall we begin? As they say. The ruler I couldn't find. All right, folks. Round of beers. The royals are here. We're going to need to fill the kegs. Alongside of them, some migrants have arrived. So this is some random duder named Zephon. Okay, where's this? Wait. Ah. So I think the Monarch is coming from this side. Considering I just got a legendary Mace Dwarf. And her child. You worship Reg, the god of oaths. It's actually some pretty good gear. Actually, just gonna swap you to metal. Who's this? The other child. Some legendary peasant with fancy-ass clothing on. What's the image on your clothing? It's a superior giant cave spider silk trousers and the circle with bands of iron. It is made from cave spider silk. Menaces with spikes of lavender jade. Fancy, fancy. Look at this. Superior quality. Really? Oh, okay. I guess it doesn't have any images on it. There she is, boys. Lore. Net cloistered. The demon of she was a prisoner of the demon of disemboweling? I really like the Coven of Witches. That is a good name for a lady necromancer. Then don't become a monarch. Nobody's making you become the mountain home. It's not the only way to play the game. I don't do it every time. I do it maybe every third time. Oh wait, are you saying that not having the outpost liaison come to you is too convenient? Piticato? Oh, I shouldn't. I should. You do know that if you have the Monarch and you trade with other factions that aren't yours? Oh, okay. So you're saying that you wait, you like taking care of the outpost liaison? Okay, well, I mean, it's just it gives you so many more options for trading with other people. I love that they have a long-term acquaintance named NANI? There's something about that that's kind of funny to me. She's allegedly 54 years old. I don't know how true that is. How many kills do you have? None? Where's the thing that I'm looking for? Health description, no. Items, no. Room, skills, yes. Errors in the tower. Question intrigue. It concerns the failed attempt of the Dwarf Necromancer lore to corrupt the human bull fastened bands in Lashed Crew in the midsummer of 141. The writing is completely serious and stunningly self-indulgent. Against preconceptions, time spent in the mountain homes. My thoughts on suspicion. Concern another. She really is obsessed with this failed attempt to corrupt this person. But the prose of that one is splendid. So she wrote her same book. The truth about the author. The authoring of Errors in the Tower. What was the Errors in the Tower about? Errors in the Tower was a guide concerning the tower. The writing is completely serious, yet self-indulgent. I guess like she sees our fortress and goes, looks like a tower. That'll do. Wait, hold up. She's already more anxiety prone, and she's currently more distrustful. Why, though? Well, chat room, we now have a queen, which I wasn't certain was going to arrive in the first place. So that's kind of crazy and kind of fun. There's nothing particularly noteworthy about her that I'm seeing just like looking through this. But we've known who she is for a while, so, you know, if you want to look her up, you can. She's in Legends for sure. Basement ashes, that's what happens after the Forgotten Beast flies through, that breathes fire. But you. Oh, legendary Dwarf. Doop. 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 Legendary Spear Dwarf. I do really like this part where you just get a bunch of legendary combat dwarves like immediately. I do quite like that. Like this guy, the animal caretaker, but let's toss him in the military. There's the outpost liaison. You also worship Cybrick. Knows the fabulous you know actually a bunch of things. The birth of forks. What about spoons? Did they bring any artifacts? Sometimes they bring artifacts. Not that I'm seeing. Well, that is fun. We grant this request. I can chop down 9 trees. Cool. Let's tore its hip open. Maybe the dwarf just had a sharp shoe. Did you think about that? Why did they drop a croc? Because that's a steel low boot. I'm a little bit offended on behalf of Dwarven Craft Storeship that you think the crocs look like dwarven low boots, but I suppose I actually really need to make a stockpile for my gear. Although, do people like Crocs now? I feel like there's been like a bit of a Croc redemption in reality where people don't hate Crocs anymore. Where they used to kind of hate Crocs and now they don't seem to anymore. And it kind of perplexes me a little bit, to be honest. Because I used to really like Crocs and I used to get made fun of all the time for wearing Crocs. Because find me another shoe that floats. It's like kind of a challenge, actually, to find a shoe that floats. And I know that might sound like an oddly specific need or want, but my God, they just straight up didn't make shoes that float for a very long time. And as somebody who used to do a lot of kayaking, the last thing you want is to lose your shoes because they don't float. That's not limited to Crocs, though. That's just everything. Everything's expensive these days. So are my flip-flops, though, Orange. I don't know. I don't own a pair of Crocs because they're too expensive. I own a pair of lightweight sandals that I bring with me when I go camping. It just makes more sense. I'm just gonna get rid of this. Oh, did one of you turned into a block of ice, eh? That has to have happened. Has to have happened. Well, I will assume I will find your body, but I will memorialize you anyway. Dominoc, happy bearded tavern keeper. I don't have any tavern keepers, and I'm not going to have a tavern keeper, so what is something that you would like that isn't a tavern keeper? I have no plans to make a tavern keeper. We got nobles. We got other dwarves. Many different varieties of tasks. I do not want a tavern keeper. I have a public tavern, and that's already enough of a liability. I don't need to actively over-alcohol them. Medical dwarf. These little ones would be your options here. Got some pissed off diagnosers. And some other pissed off diagnosers. I don't know, I don't think any of them are really happy though. Meng's okay, Dolmas is okay. Where's Meng? Meng the surgeon? Sure. I didn't see that one. Yeah, humans have such a low alcohol tolerance, I can't have a safe tavern with a tavern keeper and humans in it. Like, he hates vows, obligations, and promises, and other binding elements that could restrict his life. Wait, like the thing that doctors have to swear to not kill their patients? Anyways, he's conflicted by this for more than one reason, probably because of his med school. He is extremely confident in himself in situations requiring his skills. He can easily fall in love or develop positive feelings. He doesn't focus on material goods, and he is somewhat uncomfortable around those that appear unusual or live differently from himself. He has a calm demeanor, and he doesn't mind wearing something special now and again. He likes to brawl, and he generally acts with an arrow focused on the current activity. He generally finds himself to be quite hopeful about the future, and he needs alcohol to get through the working day. He doesn't really care about anything anymore, though. You want to see what would happen? Watch my last video to the end. She would resurrect zombies. Some of them are friendly, some of them are not. And she might summon nightmares. If she summons nightmares, they will kill as many of my dwarves as the enemy. And my population will cut in half immediately. And, I mean, that's not really something I really want to have happen. So I'm going to try and keep her away from the military. There's a few ways I could make her fight things, but I probably won't put her in the military. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is going to be the fortress for that. He personally finds the ideas of independence and freedom somewhat foolish and dreams of mastering a skill. And he likes Anderharite, Fine Pewter, and Fire Agate, as well as Giant Mountain Goat Horn, Salt Water Crocodile Tooth, and Salmon Bone. But that being said, I don't mind having the liability of having a necromancer running around. I think that's kind of fun. Would another monarch potentially replace her? 100% another monarch would replace her. Not guaranteed that that monarch lives in my fortress. She likes Anderite, Fine Pewter, and Fire Agate, as well as Giant Mountain Goat Horn, Saltwater Crocodile Tooth, and Salmon Bone. Rope Reed Fabric, Bolts, Spiked Balls, and the words of the Dutiful Boot. And the sight of the skirt of embraces, and when possible, prefers to consume mango wine and candle nuts. What the fuck is that? I know I've said this out loud before. What the fuck is a candle nut? I've looked up candle nuts. I still don't know what the fuck a candle nut is. What the fuck is a candle nut? Anyway, where was I? After the candle nuts. Absolutely hates blood gnats. Me too. That was a very... You know when, like, a dump truck, like, is reversing and then hits their brakes on a hill and it makes a screeching sound? That's what I just heard one of those lasted for, like, a minute. He personally, but, like, when they're going slowly and slowing down kind of thing. He is very muscular and has a long beard, which is braided, and his sideburns are clean-shaven, and his very long mustache is neatly combed. His medium-length hair is tied in a ponytail, and he has a jutting chin. His nose is upturned. His round brass eyes have large irises, and his hanging lobed ears are flattened. His lips are very thin, and his hair is mahogany. Can we, like, as a community, stop saying the magic update? Hot take here, chat. There is magic in the game. Of all kinds, already. There isn't going to be a magic update. But probably every major update from here going forward is going to include some magic. And one is getting hungry? Station them and cancel the station. That seems weird. I would tell them to go stand elsewhere, like be like, go here, and then punk do that, basically. And make sure they're actually off duty. Platinum is like gold. It's like for jewelry and such. It's too soft to actually use for making tools. At least with the technology that the dwarves have. You've tried, but you'll try again. The other thing that you could do, and this is a bit extreme. Just delete the squad and remake it. But that's weird. I mean, they shouldn't get stuck. Are they getting any thoughts at all? Because like I saw my military do something kind of similar, but I've been able to fix it by just simply like turning training off and on again and like deleting and like giving them an order and deleting it. Yes, it's this Vicona, but it's nowhere near as like mechanically opaque, or not opaque, mechanically definable. Like if you have X amount of exported value or are above a certain city rank, like capital, right? Like I can get the biggest possible sieges right now. But the biggest possible sieges depends on two things. It depends on the size of the goblin factions in the area, the materials that are available, the animals that live in the area, and the like age of the faction. So what is the hardest raid that you can get, or like the scariest siege that you can get, varies from world to world. Transparent. Yeah, I guess I was thinking opacity, but yeah, no, transparent is the word I was looking for. So, yes, but probably not the way you're thinking it would be, I guess. Because, like, I've fought with goblins for not for so long. I've fought with goblins in one world that are massively at war with another goblin faction or two other dwarven factions and a human faction that I don't really ever get hit by major raids or sieges because they're just like this goblin faction that I'm at war with right now is also at war with another goblin faction, another dwarven faction, and two human factions. So they're like, they don't have much extra manpower to like attack me. So at least initially, like things were kind of quiet, but now they're finally attacking me. And the first siege was, they didn't really have great gear. I'm sure they'll send stronger stuff as time goes on, but they don't have the strongest force of darkness at the moment because they're pretty stretched thin, most likely. Is that? No, I have to do those one further apart. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, there is faction value. If you do want to actually look at those numbers, if you go to difficulty, you go to custom, there's trade triggers, which is the value, and then there's production triggers, which is local, and then trade value, and then there's population triggers. So you can like turn those numbers down. However, this is just, they'll ignore you until number 1, right? Until you have 20. Like the goblins won't intentionally attack you until you have 20, which means they might still attack you. They'll only send small sieges until you have more than 50 people. When you have more than 100 people, they won't really send more than, 30, 40 people. When you hit 110, they'll start sending like full sieges. Same with like 80 to 110 is when they start sending like full sieges. It's within that window where you start getting like the actual threats. But like the game has changed pretty heavily since the siege update. And I'll be honest, I don't actually know entirely how the new triggers work. Like I've looked at the mechanics and the difficulty menus and stuff, but like it doesn't mean a ton to me. So kind of in a weird middle spot right now where it's like, I don't actually know what to expect still, and that's kind of exciting to me, but I guess it's a little bit frustrating if you're asking like what you should be expecting, because I don't really have a direct answer for you. I hope that answered your question. I don't know. Did it? No, I'm actually gonna go back on what I was thinking about doing here. Let's do this instead. Oh, no, if you attack them, then they'll attack you. And also, the other asterisk is they won't attack you if they're not in range. So, like, when you're settling in the overworld, there's, like, a little pop-up. I can't actually show you. I would have to start a new for it. There's a little pop-up that says, like, the neighbors that are in the vicinity at the bottom. If there are no neighbors in the vicinity at the bottom, unless you attack somebody else, they won't attack you. So if there's nobody in range and you can't attack anybody because you can't get to them, they won't attack you because they can't. But like, if I settle here, there will be 30,000 goblins in 5 locations within 2 days travel, right? If I settle, I'm trying to find an empty area. There really isn't an empty area here. If I settle here, then there might be that next tower might be close enough to like aggro me, but like if I settle up here, there won't be anything. So like if you are like this is 6 days travel away from my fort, right? I don't actually know what the limits are of their reach. It depends on like that faction's influence. So like I'm right. It's easier to just do this. I'm right here. Right, so I have goblins that are a day's travel away from me. So once I hit a high enough, once I make enough noise, we used to always call it noise back in the day. Once I make enough noise, sell enough stuff, intake enough stuff, produce enough stuff, have a big enough population, they'll notice me and they'll start attacking me. Or I could just like start stealing their shit and they'll invade me like right away. As soon as I get caught anyway. Or like if you just start sending like raids to like steal items and stuff, if you lost the escape dice roll, and even if it's a successful raid and you steal items and they get in and out safely with nobody getting hurt, it could be a goblin named so-and-so saw them leaving, or noticed that they were there, and then that's enough, right? Or you could just go there and demand tribute and they'll attack you. What's even funnier is they might even give you tribute. Like they'll like give you some items and then attack you. It's actually, I think, one of the reasons why, like, it's something that I really wish Dwarf Fortress explained better because, like, I think one of the biggest pieces of, like, criticisms I've seen for this game since it launched on Steam was just, like, nothing happens. It's like, well, yeah, the game doesn't really tell you that, does it? The game doesn't really point you in a clear direction of how to make things happen. Which is what it is, unfortunately. Oh, I'm giving you an extra one. I don't need to give you another one. Oops. Cool. Progress. Where did non-hostile goblins come from? Oh boy. Green glass, sand, glassmaker's shop, and charcoal or lava. And a bag. What makes non-hostile goblins? So, a goblin isn't... Okay, so a goblin is a species, not a faction. If you play adventure mode, and you don't need to play a lot of adventure mode to see this. Actually, I could probably show you in Legends Viewer, because that surfaces some of that stuff. But if you play adventure mode, you'll see it immediately. But this is, you know, my world currently that I'm playing. If I go to factions and groups, the boat of juice? That doesn't seem like a very good way to make a boat float. Anyway, if I pick a dwarven faction, right? Or a... Let's actually sort this up. Civilization, that's what I want. So if I go to a civilization of not old men, ant-men, or whatever, scroll until I get a civilization of not animal people. I have to click this a bunch of times. Elves, sure. The Ultra Thorns of Justifying. I open this up in a new tab. This is not entirely elves. Wasn't there like a population graph where it shows the populations? Am I missing something? Current sites. Is it sites that shows the populations? There it is. So you can actually see like the populations of who lives there, right? So in this case, it's all elves. If I go to the obscure sheen, okay, like nobody lives there. What if I go to the blunt twigs? And go here. You can see that 11 elves live here, 4 goblins live here. They also have 37 leopards and 26 jaguars. So being able to see this, why are there goblins here? Well, the goblins that live here, most likely, didn't like where they were living before. They probably ran into some conflict with where they were living previously. Maybe they just didn't see living in a society where murder is legal and a common hobby is a positive. Maybe they decided they didn't like Steve from accounting and wanted a better gig. Many things could make them leave a faction. Going off an adventure is one of those. And then they can just settle down anywhere. And what's really interesting is most dwarven factions are not primarily dwarves. Most dwarven factions are like an amalgamation of like dwarves, humans, and goblins and elves. It tends to not be as many elves because the elves often don't get along as well with the dwarves. But like if I go to like the Lilac of Praise, which is not loading for some reason. If I go to the Humid Volcano, this is my faction that I played previously. And then I go to like Boarship. This dwarven fortress, Boarship, has 26 dwarves living in it, 3 humans, a monarch butterfly person, 7 trolls, 43 goblins, and 23 elves. What causes friendly, neutral goblins? A goblin that didn't want to live in the persuasive sin and decided that living in the, I don't know, the gold of reasoning was a better, more logical way to live. That's why. What's really interesting is there are a few species traits in Dwarf Fortress, right? Like if you look at a dwarf's description, right? Like this is Davet. A short, sturdy creature fond of drinking industry. Sure. If it was a goblin, it would be, I think it's a creature bent on, it's like a sometimes cruel creature bent on mayhem or something. But goblins have this. But like if you go to their values, this is the faction they were born in. And then this blue text shows how they deviate. This person, this individual dwarf, deviates from the faction that they were born in. So if you see a dwarf with no blue text, it means they're perfectly aligned with a dwarven faction. Any dwarf with blue text means they're either slightly more extreme in one direction or slightly more extreme in the other direction. They have hard limits of how far they can be. But if you have a dwarf with a bunch of extremes in a pretty baseline dwarven faction, and that's in Legends mode, and you're not playing that fortress, that dwarf is very likely, and maybe they hate the law, they disagree with the people in charge, they keep experiencing trauma, they haven't achieved their goal yet, they want to be a legendary warrior, and there's no military and very few wars going on in this place. They're much more likely to leave and join the humans who are at war with the goblins, or the goblins even. Because that's how the way this game works. Sorry, that was like the longest fucking roundabout answer to a very simple question. How do you end up with friendly goblins if they like living in your fortress more? It's the actual simple answer. But I figured that would be kind of an underwhelming answer. Basically, assume everything in Dwarf Fortress is people. And what type of creature they are unless they're undead, is very unlikely to have an effect on their actual allegiance. Like, if you have a bunch of naked goblins show up that are part of a performance troupe, it's pretty likely they all fucking hated being in the goblin faction if they have goblin names. It's just like if you have a dwarf show up that has a goblin name, which can happen, by the way. It is not unlikely. I'm just going to bring these gems over and just sell gems because it's easier for the moment. It is not unlikely that that they were kidnapped, or their parents were kidnapped, had kids in a goblin faction, and they hated it there. Or they're a spy. Does deaths by race count as them living there? So if it's like... I think that's just total numbers, isn't it? Like at least in Legends Viewer. I mean, actually, maybe Phoenix could tell me, but I'm pretty sure in Legends Viewer, deaths by race is just whoever died there, not specifically part of that faction. But like, yeah, it's not faction specific. So like, if it says goblin, it doesn't mean like this dwarf who was part of a goblin civ died here. Sure, yeah, Canahawk. You use silver weapons and wooden shields. Wooden shields break too quickly for me, hardcore, in YouTube chat. Bim. The cook is taken by a fey mood. Vicona. Thanks for checking out a gift. Appreciate you. The first gifted sub since the beginning of the stream. Yeah. First gifted sub since the very beginning. Appreciate you. Thanks. Pretty sure it's counting race, not civ association. Pretty sure. Because, hold on. Let me just squint at it real quick. Let me check something. I might be looking actually at the wrong menu. I'm thinking of older versions of Legends Viewer and citing that. Because you're right, chat. And like that, this is the other interesting thing is you can have collections of outcasts who can just join anybody. Those are always kind of fun. Let me see if I can find the menu that I'm thinking of, or if it still exists in this version. The evil cusps. Huh. Yeah, I might be thinking of a menu from an older version of Legends Viewer. Because there was a, there used to be a menu that was just like current living population and current dead population. I wonder where that went. Man. Sometimes I do miss older versions. Calamities, conflicts, coups, purges, warfare, battles, duels, rage, conquerings. Written content. Is it sites maybe? No, it's just got the deaths by race one. Tisk. It's not actually that useful. Yeah, that must be what I'm thinking of. Because there was an older version that had a similar graph to this, but it was like current populations. I want to say it was just like a bunch of bar graphs. But also a child got abducted. In the year 68, they died in the year 85. So sad. Notable deaths, beast attacks. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see the total populations counter again, because that was interesting and exposed a lot of my points here. I don't know. If you just go play adventure mode for like 90 minutes, or just play adventure mode for 30 seconds and start in a dwarven fortress, and you'll see. You'll see all of these goblins that are almost always populating dwarven forts. Strange moods. I should stay focused on the video games that I'm playing. But I don't know, maybe people will develop it more now that I'm yelling about it more often. That I can host it so other people can see it. The reason I've never really used Legends Viewer is because I tried using it briefly a while ago, and it was, everybody just always kind of asked me, it was like, send me the XML and I'll look. And it just got so cumbersome trying to like me parse all the information, because there's so much information that without being able to just let other people see it, it just kind of becomes a pain. I wonder if you actually go through the raw XMLs if it still has the populations. Probably does. Probably does. Wouldn't surprise me. Chat, what's something you would like to see added to that Legends Viewer? I should pull this and pop that back up. There you go, and then the bridge lifts up with just the blood stain underneath it. Okay. Let's see, can I make bolt throwers? Do I have the stuff to make bolt throwers? I need empty bins. How many logs do I have lying around? Right. I may actually deconstruct a lot of the wooden structures here to be able to get more logs. Not a small number, not a large number. How about down here? Let's go up here and delete this. Thunk. Let's go trade with these elves and see what they've got. Oh, what squad are you in? Literally, you're running my main squad. At least it's not as bad as Legends browser was. My bad. Maybe mods to it? I mean, it's kind of outside of the scope of what we're talking about here, George, but sure. No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, like, I would love Tarn to just spend a year developing Legends, but for the same reason that, like, it makes very little sense for me to, you know, spend all of my waking minutes making tutorials for nobody. Giant pond turtle. Hey, chat. It's the fixed bug turtles. That's cool. For the same reason that, like, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for me to do that, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for Tarn to do similar things development time-wise. Like, he has to use his time for what makes the most sense, for what makes the largest portion of the game happy. I mean, there's already features that were in version 47, George, that aren't in version 50 for Legends mode. Cloth. Cloth is what I want. But I can't type, apparently. This is going to be slow. But I will do my damnedest. Best. Hello, glass half empty. You're just working on a fork? Yeah, I know. I mean, that's like a large issue is just like people need, maybe don't need. In order for Legends Viewer to stay interesting, it needs new stuff added to it. In order for people to notice it and pay attention to it, it needs new stuff added to it. It's like if games want to sell, they need new stuff added to it. So in the case of like, this kind of thing, it's like, you know, you want people to use a thing and you want the tool to get better, you have to add stuff to it. This is where I'm at now, chat, because the elves are getting not harder to trade with, but I'm starting to care more about it. So I can sell cave spider silk. I can sell pigtail. And I can sell, like, cotton. Which is probably most of these clothes, but still. Because I'm going to buy that grizzly and the giant pond turtle. But I'll say this. If any of the people managing Legends Viewer are actively managing Legends Viewer and want people to keep giving them ideas for new features for Legends Viewer, if the only place to make them aware of that is the Bay 12 forums, we might as well just fork it and make new shit. And just say fuck it. Because if you want Legends Viewer to get eyes on it, and you want people to see it, and you want people to be able to use it, it needs to do what DFHack is doing. It needs to be on Steam. You know, and it needs to be visible where people can access it. Otherwise, it might as well not exist, which is kind of where it's at right now. Like, it's not even on, like, the Steam Workshop in any meaningful way because there's no way to run it like that. Like, it needs to, like, you need to be able to hit a button and it needs to just automatically load the most recent files from your install. That's a llama wool shoe. It needs to automatically, like, grab the most recent files from your game install. It needs to, like, be somewhat user-friendly. But, you know. Which is why, I'll be completely direct, this is, like, hosting that Legends Viewer like that is something I've wanted to do for a while, but I just never bothered because to be frank, what was interesting to me wasn't the idea of going to the people who are working on it and being like, hey, could you add a bunch of shit for me? No, it was like, let's try and build a community of people that want to update it and do interesting things with it, because clearly the people who are maintaining it originally didn't care. Hey, I traded. Success. I have a giant pond turtle. It's like saying, we have a cave troll. But on the flip side, my take is that you shouldn't be running Dwarf Therapist now at all. When I say that I'm making tutorials for nobody, Vicona, I mean, like, not enough people for them to be worth it. Yes, people watch them, and yes, they get a lot of people into the game. But if I don't want to just rehash a hour-long discussion I had yesterday. But look at that boy! Not the dwarf. The turtle. What a bro. Anyway, if I make tutorials now, it has such a small audience that the amount of time it takes to make it, I make dollars an hour. Like, that's what I mean. Because there's a very small number of people right now looking for Dwarf Fortress tutorials, especially like obtuse or advanced stuff, to the point where like it's not worth making. That's all I'm talking about. That's all I mean. But when I made them originally, there was 35,000 people playing Dwarf Fortress on Steam and hundreds of thousands of people buying it per week and thousands of new people coming in per day, and like there was 2,000 people watching this stream on this channel, and how many are here right now? Like a 150? So, yes. 160, which is like below my yearly average even. Like it's a very small number of people that actively play this game. I'm trying to figure out where the fuck to put some Queen's Quarters, and I don't know. I'm also waiting for this ice to melt. Guess I could mine out this middle section. Did any of them get bit? If they got bit and it drew blood, yes, they will turn into a were-mammoth. If they didn't get bit or it didn't draw blood when they bit, like if it just bruised, then they'll be fine. So anybody who's got an injury, I would lock them down if you want your fortress to survive. Or just build a fuckload of doors, and the next time there's a full moon, pause the game and lock a lot of doors. In like 5 seconds? Probably nothing saw it on the surface. I would put a guard dog on the surface. Or I tried to do that, I guess. Still a big guy. Yeah, exactly. Just a little big guy. But it's kind of in. You'll do another guard beast. I'll say this. Animals that are trained in hunting have a longer line of sight than animals that are not trained in hunting. So if you have an animal that's trained in hunting, they'll see further and they'll spot things faster. Pro tip. Because part of the hunting training is they learn... The cook has created Tangath, a chert hatch cover. Ooh. And offers it to the seed of creation. That's a kind of a cool thing. Hit Z on the keyboard, Nomald. Make an animal training zone. Press accept. Hit U on the keyboard. Go to pets and livestock and scroll down until you find an animal that has these 3 icons. And then click that button for war training and that button for hunting training. The difference is this button, they automatically attack hostile entities. This button, they'll attack neutral entities that can be butchered, and they get a plus 30 on their line of sight. So chain them up so they don't go around murdering all the turkeys on the surface. Also, you might notice that there's a bunny rabbit up here. I'm actually gonna throw some other animals up here, like these keats that I'm not really doing much with, that turkey that I'm not gonna do much with, these 2 stray sheep, because why not? And then maybe the buffalo. I will be butchering these animals if I decide I don't need them, but those will notify me if any were creatures arrive. And I did not queue up wooden bins. Let's make some steel bars, and let's do iron bin. Don't really want iron bins. Wooden bins. Of all the guardian birds, I use them for the memes, but I don't actually think any birds are all that good as watch animals. I think, like, bears are probably actually the best, because bears that can be trained in hunting. Actually, on that note, yeah, like grizzly bears, probably the best, because they're big and, you know. Oh, there was a name redeem? Did I miss something? Sure, cashless, I'll give that to you, but in future, you already have a dwarf. Maybe give it let somebody else have it. But we'll give it to you, because I agree. But since you're naming the turtle, it's fine. It's just like, don't, try not to just like hog every, I mean, if it's up for like 40 minutes and it kind of was, it's fine. But just, sharing is caring. Schmelly! The name will clue in when I unpause. Whoops. Schmelly tends to avoid physical confrontations, is slow to trust others, is slow to give them the flights of fancy, and is quite polite but slow, and is moved by art and natural beauty, and is slow, and is pleased by his own appearance and talents, and occasionally overindulges. He finds helping others to be emotionally rewarding, but he is kind of slow about it. And he is quick to form negative views about things, and quick as in turtle speed, and prefers that everyone live as harmoniously as possible, except for when he beats the hare. And he can handle stress. Because he's a turtle. No, that's fine. It's all good. Cashless. It's all good. You had a mix of 20 war and hunting dogs chained along your entrance? How'd that work out? I feel like they would all just get executed. But I'm actually kind of curious about how it worked out. Make wooden bin. It's been 1 log since I looked at me. Let's just go to here. Trying to figure out, thinking like here, but that wouldn't give them that much. Maybe I should just knock out these walls. Yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna knock out this wall. I'm just gonna reorganize a little bit of this. And I'm actually just gonna go forbid those bins. What am I building? Giant pit? Yep, big old hole in the ground. I'm gonna put lava at the bottom of it. We had a bunch of goblins attack us yesterday, and they kind of got knocked in. But the idea is to build like a artificial volcano. That is the idea. And I have a yak, and when that yak dies, because that yak is our god, quote unquote, I will make it, or I will make the sieges harder every year once that yak dies. That is kind of the plan. We'll do it this way. Okay, yeah, the Goblin Snatchers would. I assume that this is a bug, but one of my favorite quirks with Goblin Snatchers is every time they attack you, they bring an additional bag. So you can tell if, like, a Goblin Snatcher is really shit at their job and has never successfully, like, taken your stuff because they'll have, like, 15 bags in their inventory, and I find that really funny. But one of your woodcutters is a necromancer? I wonder if she shall raise your dead dwarves. If you want to know everything about necromancers, watch the last big video I uploaded. Like, that video will walk you through. Will she do it? Not willingly. And probably not once they're rotten. It'll happen if she's in combat. So it's like a self-defense thing. If she ends up in combat, she will just randomly resurrect anything that is resurrectable. But those dead dwarves have to be resurrectable. And they might not be resurrectable. Yeah. They make a pill for that, though, if you're not erectable. Anyways, the main reason for that is we're in an ad break. In version 47 and before, necromancers used to just like resurrect bodies. Actually, I think it was before version 47. Anyway, necromancers used to just resurrect bodies. Yeah, it was version 44. Necromancers would just resurrect bodies at random when they were near them. Like, if they're in proximity to skeleton, but zombie appear. And that was back when all zombies were hostile. There was no such thing as, like, intelligent undead. And that sucked. It, like, was impossible to have necromancers in your fort at all. Because you would just have zombies everywhere, and they would always be hostile, and they would kill everything. And now there's ways to, like, gamify it and, like, make it work, but be careful. Do your research. Why so few, Georgie Pie, who says that they have 200 cats in their fort? Why so few? You could have 202. You're like Corella DeVille, but for cats. Although that's most dwarven fortresses. Everyone's just walking around in cat leather. Speaking of cat leather, that's not a segue to anything. How's your day going, chat? What you up to? What you playing? I'm really looking forward to Menace properly releasing tomorrow. And so tomorrow is either going to be a full day of Menace or another split day. Looking forward to it. I think, like, there's only one actual answer to that "how are you doing" question right now, though, and if it's anything like my answer, fucking terrible, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I was watching a stream last night while I was kind of exporting my VODs, and it's a channel that doesn't often stream. He streams maybe every 3 months or something, and he mostly plays, like, Battle Royale games with a couple friends. And it's kind of just like one of those podcast streams where it's just like 3 people, but these days it's ARC Raiders mostly, just like playing game and talking. And one of the people he was playing with is like a full-time graphic artist. One of the people he was playing with and the full-time graphic artist has a side hustle where he makes comics and stickers. One of them is a indie game developer, and then another one is previously an indie game developer and now primarily just a freelancer. And we're just talking about being a entertainer in times of turmoil, basically. It's like when the world feels like it's falling apart, like being creative gets harder. And holy shit, I feel that at the moment. Like, I'm supposed to be the friendly, happy, engaging, entertaining person. And every time I look at what's going on in this planet, I just want to walk into the ocean. Shitty year so far. Hopefully we get some better months. That is the wrong type of stone. I'm gonna fix it. I was not watching the FTL dev now. That's not who I was watching. You came home from a workshop and I'm now writing about repairs for an exam. Sounds fun. What was the workshop? Playing some DF? Weird. Who does that? Like, for fun? Crazy. Imagine playing DF for fun. I'm making jokes for clarity there. Ettins can read. Well, I mean, an Ettin could learn to read, but Ettins just steal items of importance and high value. So if an Ettin invades a place that happens to have a slab and they happen to win, they'll steal the item of the highest importance or value. They're like a giant crow or magpie. Oh, the workshop where you work. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I thought you meant like workshop, like I went to a pottery workshop or something. At least that's how I was deciphering that. But. That's why yours had a platinum secret of life of death slab. I don't think they can learn necromancy, otherwise I feel like you would see it all the time in regards to necromancers. I know that they can join factions and religions, which is a bug that has been accepted as a feature. Please don't let us have real live magpies that steal things based on real value. I always go back to that video of that crow that was made a number of years ago on, I want to say it was Vine? The crow that would was trained to collect money and bring it back to its trainer. And the guy just tapped on the side of his window and a crow shows up, drops a 20 in a cup, and he gives it a piece of food, and then the crow flies away, and then he just walks over to the drawer and drops it in. It's just a pile of cash. Where was those bedrooms that I was working on? They're there. Or that recent photo that was posted on the Discord of somebody standing in front of a Kia, and it's it was very friendly and made nice sounds. I'm like, it's trying to take your glasses. Don't trust it. Never trust a Kia. You can see it in its eyes. Its inquisitive nature. It's calculating the dollar value and the amount of potential distress it'll cause the person it's standing in front of, based on what it steals. And it will go for maximum emotional impact. Got a lot more cabinets to stick in here, actually. Okay, now that I've got those beds in there, I should be able to go here, grab this, do that. Kerplunk. You know, I don't think I need to specify. I'm pretty sure you have all of the information you need to figure out the answer to that, Dominok. I'll let it be ambiguous. It is forever a mystery. Also, come on. We all know that Kias don't steal things. They get stolen. Which means the world is going to stand still for a moment when a Kia steals a Kia. I need to make an IKEA joke, but nothing's really coming to mind. I'm starting to think that Conrad in YouTube chat is a bot that is paid for by Tynan Sylvester, whose entire purpose in their existence is to go around and just try and sell people RimWorld. I'm gonna just remove you from my stream because you clearly don't want to be here and aren't interested in the content being shown. If you want to go watch RimWorld, go watch RimWorld. If you want to participate in a chat for the reason of talking about RimWorld, you can go do that in a RimWorld stream. If you want to take part in conversations and be a member of this community, that's cool. And you're allowed to talk about RimWorld. But if your entire goal in life is to just be that fucking meme of this thing's better, change my mind, mate, get a hobby. Please just like stop raising my blood pressure. My blood pressure. I mean, we don't even need to lower ourselves to that level, my friend. Hey, Calbert, boss in YouTube chat, but there's a person who's popped into the stream the last 2 days who just says, "Hi, I'm this person. I'm from Poland. RimWorld is better. Change my mind," and then just starts nattering about RimWorld. And it's like, why are you here? Just go back to 2008 when people still cared about what's better than the other thing. Patooey. And they get very upset about that? That's actually not totally true. They can drink if you have a tavern keeper, but then they get drunk and beat people up. They do drink if they're part of your faction, though. And they also eat if they're part of your faction. So I'm a little bit perplexed about the scholars not being able to eat and drink, because I don't think I've ever noticed that. So either I'm missing something, which is possible, or they can and they just don't because you have some settings set up in a strange way. I'm not sure. But you can get goblins in a Dwarven Civ, but they also show up in more ways than just as, what's the word? Performers, like chat's saying. They also show up as mercenaries and monster hunters. If you have public buildings or social spaces, they can petition to join. You could also play adventure mode and convince a bunch of goblins to go on adventures with you, which actually isn't too hard if you're chosen. And then bring them to your fortress and then retire, and they'll all be there when you reclaim it. Goblins are fun. I don't know. They have their moments. That's totally fair. Jane Warrison. In regards to Dwarf Fortress being too overwhelming. I mean, I like to watch Escape from Tarkov, but I find it to be fucking intimidating as hell. Yeah, okay, so this is extremely dangerous. I should not be doing this. I could build walls, but that's all I can do. I have to wait for this ice to melt before I can do this safely. What does the yak say? Man, moo? Actually, I don't actually think I can tell you, but no thoughts, head empty, is what the yak says. I like watching EFT. I have no interest in playing it whatsoever. It's not even like a hate or not hate. I just don't want to play it. It's got nothing to do with cheaters either. It's like it's not a game that I'm interested in. Walking in. The Wermus Fath Umerith has come, a very large moose twisted into humanoid form. It is crazed for blood and flesh. Its eyes glow green. Its black hair is unkept. You will know why you fear the night. Huh. So, I have 2 squads. I'm actually going to lock these doors real quick. I have this gate. I'm actually going to lock these doors. See how good their range is. It's actually a pretty good training opportunity, too. It may just break through. Nope. Let's send one of them down to here. I could also do this. I'm actually kind of amazed it's not going for the... livestock on the other side. Oop. That's really funny. So somebody in chat was saying that where creatures are cage trap are no longer are now trap avoid again. And that seems to be the case. Because he became a peasant again. And when he became a peasant again, he lost his hostility. Why is there a dick in the middle of the screen? Why do you think that every, like, mushroom-shaped object is a dick? Maybe it's you. Maybe you have your webcam turned on. I think I found your problem, Lorna. Your webcam is enabled, and you are looking at the recording. Projecting? I don't know, because that's what it looks like. I don't really have a better answer for you. Let me turn that off real quick. It's probably what she said. Anyways, because that's what it ended up looking like. I don't know what to tell you, man. Blind with the roasts today? Yeah, I mean, that's why I have a crock pot. I will say that Lorner did it to himself, but it's the only instance, I think, where it's appropriate to be like, you knew what you were getting into. Well, hello, Iggy. How's things? Yes, Moose, no. You know, in regards to the YouTube chat thing, not super long ago, something similar-ish happened to that, or a similar kind of discussion started where someone was just like, Dwarf Fortress is bad, blah, blah, blah. And they were just like being really annoying and disruptive in the YouTube chat, like not really providing any kind of entertainment, just like pretty much either there to flame or like annoy people. Probably trying to annoy me, but it was mostly just like bugging chat in the YouTube side. And so I timed them out for 24 hours, and then someone was like, "You shouldn't do that." And I was like, "Shouldn't do what?" And they were like, "You shouldn't time them out." I was like, "Well, why not?" And they were like, "Because it's engagement. It's like actually positive for your channel." Like, and I thought about it for a minute, and I am of the opinion that it is much more worth it to just provide a place that is pleasant for everybody and not, you know, an unruly mess. So, you're having homemade chili. Ooh, I thought it was cold where you're at. I mean, if I was given the option, I would grab a homemade blanket. But if you want to be chilly, I mean, hey. Who am I to tell you what to have? I'm not even funny at this point. What am I doing? Just like over here saying words. You love it when that happens. Ice appeared before the glass was done. Nah, F that guy. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the general feeling I have. Speaking of F that guy, you can name a dwarf chat if you want. The redemption's up. Oh, absolutely. 100%, Darius. It's like random chance to die if you're standing in that tile. Like, higher chance than normal. It's better to have a healthy space. Yeah. I mean, I've had my fair share of bad habits, Seer, in the past, but I'm trying to remedy that and not encourage it. Although I do still think it's really funny that RimWorld's base existence is a self-promotion forum. Like, the first time I heard about RimWorld was a self-promo post on the Bay 12 forums. I genuinely think that's hysterical. Like, imagine a world where Tynan Sylvester had to go to the Bay 12 forums of all places and be like, hey, check out my video game. There's something about that is going to be funny to me forever. Just because of how big that game became. Well, I mean, I could make a custom role called that guy. Nobody does this? How's that? Queuing green tea. By the way, green tea, I'll have you know, you're an elite Marks Dwarf. They're kind of pissy, but you've killed 2 Forgotten Beasts and a Netton. Both with, like, perfect bullseye shots. I think comparisons are kind of silly when it comes to the 2 games. But yeah, no. Not as crazy as the Notch apologist. Yeah, Colbert, that was weird. Speaking of crazy people in the YouTube chat, does anybody remember that one time that I made an Elon Musk joke and this person started defending him because they thought he was a genius, and then we all just kind of laughed at him for 5 minutes and then we realized he was serious? That was amusing. That was a funny, like, afternoon. I was like, wait, hold on. You're not joking? I thought you were just taking the piss. Elon is a genius. Yeah, he's a genius, man. He's a genius and never fails to surprise us. Definitely. Where was I? So smart he can't find his what? Anonymous, thanks for chucking a coin at your Witcher. Appreciate you. I wonder how many gifted subs Coin for Your Witcher has on Twitch. I was going to do a thing and now I can't remember what it was at all. Brain is just like self-seppukuing today. I guess I'm just waiting on class is really what I'm doing. And also most of this class is too far in, but yeah, okay. I'm just gonna do it this way. I'm just gonna get rid of all this class. I'm gonna get rid of all this class, and we're just gonna wait. And then I'll fix it once it thaws. I think for the time being, I'm going to go to the top. I'm gonna do this. 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 Then this is safe for you to scrub tutorial biomes. I mean, what's funny about the tutorial maps is, like, sure, often they are safer because they're supposed to be, but, like, there's always a non-zero chance that they're significantly more dangerous than most places you'd settle. Like, the classic one is just, like, clicks tutorial start, the tutorial begins, and then just, like, zombies invade and everybody's dead in, like, under a minute. Like, that's the classic one, but, like, there's also just, like, settled on a dragon. Of course, it's probably, like, 1 in 1,000, but yeah, exactly. Dragons, hydras, etc. I don't know exactly what Tarn's parameters for the tutorial is, but I kind of want Tarn to make an option like the tutorial, but, like, remove the actual tutorial part and the safety parameters and just call it random. I would really like a random embark option. Like, just let me embark anywhere, randomly, with, like, no logic behind it. I just want, like, insanity random fucking embark. button. I think that would be so fun. Embark in the ocean. So I've done that before using a df hack command, embark anywhere, which just lets you like start literally anywhere. And embarking in the ocean is possible. If you embark in the middle of the ocean, do an immediate, either do a deep embark or like immediately pause the game. Like immediately, don't ever unpause the game. Teleport everybody into the caverns after doing a reveal all. You can actually do that. I wouldn't say that I recommend it though. There's very little bugged with the Marks Dwarves. They're just not even remotely clear or obvious what you're supposed to do. I know a lot of people, because in YouTube chat they say, I'm newer to Dwarf Fortress and I'm still trying to get Marks Dwarves trained. Not really sure what's bugged still. Very little. The problem with Marks Dwarves right now is this menu. Labor, standing orders, other. Hunter ammo. If you have any hunters, you're going to run out of training ammo like immediately. My advice for Marks Dwarves is just do what I'm doing, which is they only train one at a time anyway at archery ranges, so you need dozens of them for them to function effectively. Is just get them to train wrestling and just train on live targets. Like, just station them somewhere when things attack. Like, Green Tea, who's an elite Marks Dwarf, had no Marks Dwarf skill, ever. And has only ever been in 3 fights. 2 Forgotten Beasts and an Etten. And has probably fired maybe a dozen bolts and is already a great Marks Dwarf. Like, 1 siege and she'll be legendary. Like, they train so fast on live targets that, like, just, I don't know. I think a lot of people just overthink it, and that's kind of fair. I mean, I do that too. I think everybody in video games does that a little bit, but it is pretty straightforward to just be like, yeah, just don't worry about it. Does every trader and stuff just drown when you do, or do they come? I don't know what you're asking. Oh, must have lost another person to ice, probably. What do you mean oh, well, like in the ocean, you just don't get migrants. You just don't get migrants. We're about to have an ad break, and I need to take a piss, so I'm just gonna let them finish building all this. And when the ads are about to start, I will be right back. Do a quick BRB. Like, to give you an idea, like, also another thing is, don't ever get Marks Dwarves training with bows and arrows, because dwarves can't make arrows in vanilla. So they'll just run out of ammo. You're just wasting your time if you try and use bows. Just use crossbows. Just use crossbows. Don't even bother with anything else. Make a battle wagon with bolt throwers on it, and the dwarves can shoot off it. That would be cool. I will be right back, chat. Man, that's actually one of the main reasons I don't play CDDA. I'm not gonna lie, that is one of the main reasons I don't play CDDA is the cars. Or one of the main reasons I was like, I don't think this game's for me. What about the magic update? What about it? You see, and the only way for that to work is chat actually has to be moving fast enough that I wouldn't see that. You know? How are you gonna get one over on me if you're just the one getting over me? I don't even know where I'm going with this. The humans have arrived and are annoyed about wagons, but it's fine. We'll fix that later. It's better than Schrodinger's update? Yeah. It's like Schrodinger's crash. You are a crazy person. Dwarf Elvish diplomacy, but I respect it. Because they say I use bows and arrows exclusively for poisoning so I can keep track of which carries ammunition that is poison-coated. Woof. Things that I will never bother actually doing that I know is possible in this video game. The Necromancer's been elected mayor. Oh, that's fun. You want buckets to pour on enemies? Buckets? Nah. Cauldrons? Fuck yeah. I've always been like a little bit perplexed. Well, I guess there is one thing you could sort of do. You could put things into a minecart and get dwarves to push it and then dump it. But that's not really a trap, and it would probably make most dwarves run away in fear. But aside from like dumping stuff out of minecarts, that would be kind of precarious. I've always wanted cauldrons to work that way though, because cauldrons do exist in the game already. Just simply put medieval fantasy. Don't put miners in the military. Don't put woodcutters in the military, and don't put like hunters in the military. If it's a pain in the ass to do it, just don't do it. I mean, that's what I do. My life's fine. If you're in a military task that requires a specific uniform, okay, don't do other tasks that require specific uniforms. Voila. YouTube chat's complaining about uniforms not being respected. It's like, well, then don't do the thing that causes them to disrespect it. Easy mode. Actually, it's not easy mode. I play lazy mode. That's what I do. I'm gonna go over here. I'm just gonna make some stockpile. Nothing huge, nothing crazy. Just like a series of stairs down here that kind of go over to here, maybe. Because I've got stuff I gotta put away. Actually, I could just do there as well. Could just get rid of these. I think I will. I think I will. I was gonna say, yeah, because like everything is down, isn't it, Clino? Like Bay12games.com is down, and so is Bay12 Forums. Which was something I noticed last night. I was like, huh, all the Bay12 Games sites are down. Because I went to go look to see if Future of the Fortress was up yet, but nope. Boiling said, Cauldron, have fun with the dust. Well, I mean, you'd put a lid on the cauldron. Like, the way I envision it is just, you take a cauldron and, like, the equivalent of a track stop, you say what direction it goes, you place it, and then the dwarves would put whatever they want in it to boil, and then they put coal in it, charcoal, and then you wait. Like, I don't see my forges smoking. Why would a cauldron smoke? And then when Batty walk underneath it, you could either like link it to a pressure plate or you could have a dwarf push it. I don't know. The forums pop right up for you? Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, like, the forums weren't up for me this morning when I was checking. Because I was checking this morning, because I was wondering... I was looking to see if Bay 12 Games was up, and I was like, I wonder if the forums are up, and those also didn't load for me, so... What do I have for blocks at the moment, anyway? Let's do Conglomerate. But thanks for the updates, Kleno. It's good to know that stuff's being done. I heard through the rumor bucket that Tarn is with family in the US right now, and I was just like, oh, I wonder if that means that, like, he's maybe not as aware of what's going on, but it sounds like things are getting taken care of. But anyways, I try my damnedest to enjoy this game. And I think, like, it's very much a... Like, if you play a lot of a video game, and this is, like, why any game that has extremely high hour counts will always have, like, a weird number of reviews or user reviews that are just, like, this person has 5,000 hours in this game and their review is pretty negative. There's always going to be that in games that have been around for a really long time. And personally, I gotta be honest with you, chat rooms, it's hard for me to not point out the flaws with Dwarf Fortress. Like, it's really hard to not point out the flaws. However, I try not to, because I figure that if you're new to the game and you're here, you're either trying to learn the game, and just hearing about flaws constantly makes that a less pleasant and difficult experience. And if you're not here to learn the game specifically, and you've already learned the game, you probably like it. Or you're that guy that I removed from my chat earlier. So, do we want to just, like, reiterate the thing that we already know? Is that the vibe? Because that is how I lose brain cells, and why I try to just change the topic sometimes. Because, like, I know. You know, like, it's very easy to just be like, yeah, I wish we had this, and this. I don't think that benefits anybody. I don't think it benefits people who are playing the game right now. I don't think it benefits the developers, because they know too. I don't think it benefits me. I don't think it benefits you. I don't think it's pleasant often. In fact, unless, like, you're speculating about things that are coming up that are exciting, which can be fun, but even that can just, like, lead to disappointment if it doesn't live up to expectations, because it can build unrealistic expectations. I don't see how just the, like, over-fixation on, like, I wish this was better, or I wish this was better, or I wish this was better, is productive in any way, I guess. There was a Star Wars overhaul mod, which probably still exists in some ways, no mold, and plasma rifles, I don't know, but I know that there is several, like, Warhammer-related mods, so if there's plasma rifles in Warhammer, then that probably exists. I mean, isn't there a plasma bolter? I actually don't know. Don't at me about Warhammer, okay? I know nothing. I'll be the first to admit that. So that's done. Then let's go make another one. I don't know why I closed the menu. We're just going to go down here in the bottom. They're just going to be weapons, but no trap components. You wish you were better at the game? Yeah, me too. I wish I was more willing to do the really, really, really obtuse shit. Because a lot of the time I'm just not. And I would be lying if I said that I was. Unrelated. Why the hell is this dwarf's body not getting buried? Oh, okay, it is. Then have a good nap. Fast up, snooze good. You think playing too safe is holding you back the most? Yeah, no, I know what you mean there. I mean, I suffer from that sometimes. I don't trust this dwarf very much because they're good friends with this necromancer, but they're good friends with this necromancer because they're a permanent prisoner forever who I'm never going to let out. Okay, we've got water again on the surface, which means I can go to here because this is all drained again. And, we can dig. It is time to hopefully finish this structure. Which means water's probably leaking down here soon. Kind of amazing that it hasn't, actually. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. All of these miners getting happy thoughts about being in a waterfall. Lovely. See? Delighted. How delightful. You play this game for sheer confusion? Yeah, I mean, I think that's why people take years off, right? Like, I've had a couple people recently who are just like, you know, I played this game back in the day and I didn't like the graphics, or like I played this game back in the day and when the Steam version came out, I didn't like the new control scheme as much. Or I played this game back in the day and when the Steam version came out, like I thought it looked ugly. I've had some people that are like commenting on my videos recently saying, you know, like I saw this video, or like I watched a Von Galactic video, or I saw a recent Krug Smash video, and I've decided to give the Steam version another shot. You know, like I'm really starting to like it. And it's like, I think people, even people who like self-describe as fans of this game, take very long breaks. Like I am the weird one. I am the weird one because I'm paid to do this, right? And there would be more variety on this channel if I had more success streaming other games. But this is and will always be a game that I will return to because it's a game that I adore, for lack of a better description. More migrants have arrived, actually. Necron tier, what would you like to name? You would like a dwarven child, happiest available. Bearded, not matter. This one. Imush. Don't jump into the goblin masher. That's bad. Necron TYR. Yeah, I saw it. Actually, I saw it before you said that, but, you know. Blatome is your mom, and your dad is Megalodon. That's probably why you're not depressed, because your parents are still alive. He is stubborn and tries to do things correctly each time. He is slow to anger and generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity. And he tends to hang on to grievances, but thanks, Dominok. He tends to be a bit stubborn and changing his mind about things, and he is often cheerful, and he tends to think before acting, and he does not go out of his way to help others. I've said this before, I need a fifth monitor. Or a fourth monitor, rather, not a fifth. Because then I would be able to put my notifications in a place where I could see them at all times. Because right now it's either notifications or YouTube chat, and I feel like I have unintentionally offend YouTube chat too much already. I don't need to offend them more. It is your son, Megalodon, yes. You could go look up your son in Legends as well. He generally is quite confident in his abilities when undertaking specific ventures, like maths, and prefers to present himself modestly. He enjoys the company of others, mostly his parents, and tends to make a small mess with his own possessions, because he's a child. Leaves Lego in traps. Gotta defend the fortress and all, you know? He is moved by art and natural beauty, and he's troubled by this since he dislikes the natural world. Although with dwarves, like children, it would probably be like, I'm gonna leave like a bunch of iron toys and like bits of rock and gem all over the floor. Yeah, be like having glass. He needs alcohol to get through the working day. What if I could make glass toys? He dreams of creating a masterwork someday, and personally sees the denial of impulses as vain and foolish pursuit, and values decorum, dignity, and proper behavior. I do actually have like a thought that I want to say about always critiquing the thing that you love, because it is positive. But Einith Necron tier likes conglomerate, pig iron, and red diamond, and chestnut wood, and skunk bone, and waves. And cages rabbits for their ability to burrow in the sight of the fragrance of silkiness, and when possible prefers to consume black bullhead buckwheat beer, and string beans. I like string beans. And absolutely hates bats. And I got some older clothes, but it's fine. They're hand-me-downs. You remember the Seat of Creation, of course, the fortress, and your first memory was witnessing a performance. You were jolly eating at a crowded table. I don't believe I've seen that one before. Huh. I doubt that's new. See, normally they get annoyed at like the lack of tables or irritated at the lack of tables, but jolly eating at a crowded table. I wonder what causes that. Yeah, I mean, I go to thrift stores when my foot isn't broken, Dominic. I go to thrift stores pretty frequently, and I'm just looking for a nice like 24-inch light like 1080p monitor with a mounting bracket. And every time I find one, it's like they want $60 for it or something, and I'm always like, no, I'll pay 10, but not 60. For 60, you have to like carry it home for me. But you know. It's an absolute minefield of stub toes. Oh, stub toes, absolutely. I mean, they wear cloth shoes, too. I mean, this fort, if you're a child, has been pretty calm. Like, there has been some calamities, but as far as a Dwarven fort goes, not that bad. Generally not that bad. I'm going to melt that. And just melt some metal objects on repeat. Same with you. We'll just remake all that stuff into other things. Okay. So now that all this is more or less getting there, I'll go around the edge again. I still need to make quarters for the queen. But one thing at a time. So the positive thought I have, or the thought that I have about like fixating on things that you want to see improved, usually means that people, it usually means one of two things, at least in my case, if I find myself like overly poking holes in the thing that I like. It means that I'm burnt out in a lot of cases. Like, it means that I'm actually like looking for something new or different in my workflows. Like, if I constantly catch myself like going, man, I want to bitch about this, I want to bitch about this, I want to bitch about this. If I just play a different game for 2 weeks, it kind of like fixes that. Or rather, I feel like I can wish cast and think about things that I would love to see added to this game in ways that doesn't bum me out. Whereas if I'm in a state where all I really feel that I can do is complain that I wish that this was better about this game or this was better about this game, and it upsets me, it usually means that I should go play something else for a bit. And I think that what often happens, like this happened with me with RimWorld, right? There was a few things that bugged me about RimWorld. And some of those things I could mod to fix, quote unquote. Some of those things I couldn't mod to fix. Some of those things were just like design issues with the game that I didn't like and wish were different. And eventually what ended up happening is I just got so consistently annoyed with the state of the way the game worked, I stopped playing it. And genuinely, I don't want that to happen to this game for me. And I do actually wonder how many people watching, like, just start to poke holes and wish and dream and think, man, it would be better if it was this way. It would be better if it was this way. It would be better if it was this thing that I liked in this specific format. And you're probably right. It probably would be better. Maybe it's time to take a break. Which is maybe like the worst thing I can say in my position, because I'm massively benefited when more people are playing the game. But at the same time, maybe it's time for me to take a break. I don't know. I mean, dude, one of the worst weeks of my life was sitting in the hospital. We're going to kind of make it curve in at the bottom. Was sitting in the hospital, so I can completely relate to dwarves that are restless, resting and recuperating. It's like massive injury that is like going to take a long-ass time to heal. Huge amounts of stress, unfamiliar environment. Like, I don't know, that's super relatable to me. Like, hospitals are unpleasant. Like, who wants to stay in the hospital and not be able to move for months? You just want to get out and, like, go see your boss that you don't like. At least that's been my case in the past. They're going to break more. Hopefully not. I don't generally have that in my to-do list. I didn't even break my the bones on my foot during a break. It was just Boxing Day. It wasn't like a break from work or anything. Like I worked that day. That morning even. Tarn mentioned he's been ill, by the way, possibly to head off. So, where are the report? Oh. Fair enough. I figured Tarn's just been busy. He's been like on time a lot recently, and that's great. But every now and again, there's just like a month where the Future of the Fortress doesn't show up until like, I don't know, halfway through the month. So we're about due. Dwarves jump down tiles they can't get back up again. There are situations where dwarves will jump into a space that they can't get back up from, or alternatively will climb to a space and then not be able to figure out how to get back, or climb to a space because they had a reason to, like they were getting chased or scared, or running from something, or trying to get to something, and then they can't get back. Dwarves aren't always the smartest. They're kind of like cats like that, where they'll climb a tree and then be like, shit, how the fuck did I get up here? And then you have to call the fire department, and it's a whole thing. Do people actually do that, by the way? I don't think I've ever witnessed somebody call the fire department on a cat stuck in a tree outside of Disney movies. In fact, now that I think about it, the Incredibles 1 might be the last time I saw that trope happening in a piece of media. I guess people who don't own a ladder. Do people climb a ladder to get their cat out of a tree? Like, don't you just kind of like wait for the cat to figure it out? Because like that's always been my life. It's always been it's a cat. They'll figure it out. They'll come down eventually. Am I a bad person thinking that? Yeah, well, I mean, if the cat's up in a tree and the cat's scared, chasing it up the tree is just going to make it go further up the tree, you know? It's like, that's not going to make the problem better. You need the cat to calm down and then figure out the 3D platformer they've got themselves stuck in real life. It's hard to do that when there's a person you don't know on a ladder climbing up it directly towards you at high speed going, oh God. However, cats stuck on airplanes, very funny to me. One of my favorite airplane drama things from the past few years was I think it was a United Airlines flight, and it was just this flight attendant, full flight attendant gear, very fat tabby, holding it up, going like mid-sentence. Like, who lost a cat? Found a cat. Before we can empty this plane, we found a loose cat. None of the cats I had growing up were stuck in a tree. Growing up, my cat got stuck in several trees, and he was up one of them for like multiple days. But we understood why he was up there, because there was always coyotes on the ground when he was up in one of those trees. And like we could hear him meowing and like see him through the binoculars and stuff. And he would just like sit there And just like stare at us. Eventually he would come down, and show up at the back door, and we'd let him in. Oh, great. So, Fred Durst, I'm never going to remember who you are. It's just an FYI. I will put a note next to your name. But if my cookies get deleted at some point, I will lose those. Or rather, not my cookies, but like if my web browser gets reset, I will lose them. You have a dwarf in your current fort that keeps getting stuck in trees? You just cut them down? Is he like, do you have a plant gathering zone? Like, what's making him climb the tree? And also, what's with the blobs composed of flame? The hell?
I wish to own a dorm of 4 to the power of 2 units.
A dorm? You mean a dwarf? Or are you talking about like meters? Anyways, thanks for 16. Oh, I see. Are you talking about 16? Is that what we're doing here? Thank you very much for the 16 months, mate. Wings doesn't necessarily mean it can fly, but yeah. Although literally, that's like a water balloon. Like one bolt will kill it. Tons of blobs. What is this story? Nah, it's Dragon Quest, right? Chat, can I get a round of beers for the 16 months? Oh, also, I just realized I gave your nickname wrong. There we go. Now I can read who Megalodon is. Or Fred Durst in this case. Where do you even craft a blob? In your stomach. Lunatic in YouTube chat. That's where you craft a blob. Looking at the YouTube chat and trying to get caught up a little bit. No, not an artifact. This is definitely a Forgotten Beast. I did once have an artifact that included flames in it. Because YouTube chat is asking if this is an artifact. But the artifact that included flames used bones from a Forgotten Beast that was made of fire. And it was like a footnote. It was like, it is encrusted with super long name, Forgotten Beast. It's fire. Which, whatever that means, we speculated it might be like a gem. Dino, if you follow the stream but aren't subscribed, you can use CryptBer, B-E-R, which is the MS Paint version, like Biermanir did. So this Forgotten Beast has wings. It is Osmoplosnen, Arustruck has come, a blob composed of flame. It has wings and a bloated body. And it also has webs. It, again, looks like a pile of Cheetos. And it's down on the lower level. Now, I've had Forgotten Beasts go from this lower level to the upper level. So I'm pretty convinced it's going to path up. Also, the Mangy Demon is a pretty good name. Wait. I was gonna say, for a split second there, I thought that was the same name as a dwarf that I had that just died. I was like, Stint Dead South-Time? Isn't that the name of that other dwarf? But no, I don't think so. And substitute magma forges? Maybe. I think yes and no. As part of one of the magic features, something like that would be interesting, but I feel like, you know how in the mysterious layers right now, there are like cloud essence, you know, like just those things that aren't real. They're just like things that like imply the existence of other things that aren't really tied to anything. It's just kind of like a test to see if they would function to make quests work. theoretically, I don't even know if this is what Tarn is thinking about doing, but like, if Forgotten Beasts were tied to spheres and gods, and particular gods had different, actually, hold on, let me check something. And different gods had different spheres associated with them. You could maybe have like a mineral or a material. Okay, that door is locked. How about the other one at the other end? I might just wait until it shows up in the upper levels and then we'll kill it. Yeah, I'll do that. You could have like a substance or a material or like an artifact item type thing that could be tied to different minerals, but like needing, like, I'm kind of, it's one of the reasons why like I don't really ever bother making like Forgotten Beast silk. Like the fact you can't sell it is like besides the point, but like the fact that in order, like I would much rather just be somewhere where there's a lot of spiders and just use cave spider silk than use Forgotten Beast silk, even though Forgotten Beast silk is like kind of cooler. Just purely because like then I need a Forgotten Beast with silk to be able to do that in the first place. And I find that to be a bit bleh. So unless there's like ways to reliably get a thing like leather, right? Like leather is a type of clothing, but you can reliably get leather because like 1 in 3 animals will give you leather. Also, banger. Also, I've learned that Dabu got noise complaints from screaming a Lunkanen. Just thought I'd pass that little tidbit along. Why do I use block floors instead of smoothing it? Because I think it looks nicer. I can control the color that it is, and they're higher value once engraved than engraved smooth floors. That's why I do it that way. No, Dabu got a noise complaint from a neighbor while shouting a Lunkanen for the recordings. Like, an old lady knocked on his door and said, "There's somebody screaming in your bedroom." Which is very funny. To which he's like, "Sorry about that. I'll make sure they quiet down." Is the smoke in the caves from a problem for the fort above? Highly unlikely. Cave-ins, maybe. Like if you're talking about my frame rate? What? Oh my god. I think Otter's got Rockters. Bruh. I think that might be as deep as it goes. Because I just lost another dwarf chat. We lost Otters. Oh, that sucks. It was my captain of the guard too. They're in one of these ice cubes somewhere, I guarantee it. Yikes, man. Just fucking yikes. Although I should be able to do this. There you are. Look at that. Found him. Oops, that's a little too far. Rip indeed. And like anybody could die. All that it needs is like one piece of water to appear there. They just die instantly. I think the actual plan here now is to just finish this up. Let's just floor the bottom and say to hell with it. Like, it's going to take another year to get it done otherwise. And what do I get out of it? 2 more layers? Oh my god! It's okay, he's dead, Jim. Cat detective. Okay, so what I think of... Erush, the Stonecutter, has created a Lathorosh, a chalk ring, and claims it as a family heirloom. Next, you're going to be telling me, oh my god, he killed Kenny. The bastard. Chalk ring. Erush, the Stonecutter, has created Alat Gasolodtis, a chalk ring, and claims it is a family heirloom. It's a chalk ring. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is decorated with tower cap and sheep's leather. This object menaces with spikes of chalk and conglomerate and red zircon. On the item is an image of 2 squares in tower cap. On the item is an image of the Sunny Time, the yak leather buckler, in sunstone. How fitting. I'm going to give that to the outpost liaison. And the captain of the guard needs this. How much would it cost to commission you to announce my dwarf's artifact creations, or even just a generic message? I read Dwarf announce. I'm what? I guess I need to know what the scope of work is. Do you mean like make a sound pack for Dwarf for it? I'm confused. Sounds like a Fiverr contract. Fiverr doesn't have contracts, but an announcer pack? The fuck if I know. It's not something like I can really put a dollar amount on, because I don't know how long it would take me to do it. I mean, besides, there's no way I would ever be better than the Gabe Newell Dota pack. I could never keep up with such things. Like a cameo. I joked about making a cameo once, like several years ago, when people used Cameo. And then I never did, and then everybody just kind of stopped using Cameo, and I was like, cool, I don't need to do that now. Our headed arrows. Is there anything? I know there's there's ballista arrowheads. But I don't know what a headed arrow is. Oh, I see what you're talking about. These? No. Ballista arrowheads under siege ammo. If you're trying to make a ballista stockpile, you need ballista arrowheads and siege ammo. Yeah, because there's like some weird mod, like it's like the blocky shields, or like the square, I don't know, the cone-shaped something, or the this asterisk this thing. It's like those are like things that can happen in artifacts and like weird edge cases, but not ballista ammo. I will say, catapults, real good and very straightforward. They throw boulder in the general direction of thing. Boulder go boom when it hit thing and make shrapnel. Everybody happy. Hard to run out of ammo for. You don't need to craft more. You just need to dig it. So if you dig it, you can dig it. But genuinely, I have no idea in regards to me making a Dwarf Fortress announcer pack. How much would it cost, like in an hourly sense? I mean, every time I've done like third-party commission work for like videos and stuff, I charge like $35 an hour, but I have no fucking idea. I actually don't know what the state of sound. I know that like you can tie different sounds to different things in the game. Like I know that there's some modability there. I don't know what the extent of it is. I don't know what the capabilities of it are, because I've never really messed with that stuff. So I don't know. I don't even know how possible it would be. I could give you a soundbite by just muting my desktop sound so you don't hear the game's music and then just go, bah! And that can now be your main notification for everything. You're welcome. So, and instead of getting that da-da, you can just use bah! Captain of the Guard named Drunkard. That's just every dwarf, though. Yes, Captain of the Guard is not named because I just assigned a new one. Drunkard! Drunkard? Drunkard. Donald Drunkard. Wipe basements. You gotta wipe those basements clean, if you know what I'm saying. She is bashful and tries to keep things practical without delving too deeply into the abstract. She's moved by art and natural beauty, and she's troubled by this, and she dislikes the natural world. She is not inherently proud of her talents and accomplishments, and she isn't particularly curious about the world. She often feels envious of others, and does not often feel lustful. She has a greedy streak, and she shakes her finger up and down when she's, excited. And she needs alcohol to get through the working day. She dreams of raising a family and personally values artwork and doesn't particularly value loyalty. Dreams and likes ash glaze, copper, and picture jasper, green glass, and cotton paper, the color dark green, picks, low boots, and the words of the lavender wisp. The sight of the fragrances of silkiness. When possible, prefers to consume red squirrel, giant red squirrel, and black bullhead, and dwarven cheese and persimmon wine, and hates oysters. She worships a mug, and she's friends with umbral aldermen. Milked from the finest, largest, plumpest purring maggots. Hated not. It's dwarven made cheese, yes. Dwarven cheese is milked from purring maggots, which are like, I've seen them a couple times recently. I need to actually like dig. That's a mechanic that I haven't dug into in so long. Her rust eyes are round and her somewhat broad head is very short. Her lips are thin and her eyelashes are short. Her hair is ochre and her skin is brown. She is vengeful when joining an existing conflict. Welp. Where's that beast at? Lower levels? It's fine. Okay. I'm gonna try and make this look cool. So bear with me here, chat. I'm trying to make something look cool. What I'm doing right now has no practical purpose. Now imagine that, except it's me going, bah! Twice. That'd be awful. I believe I've read or been told everything that it is for sound packs and custom music tile stats, but I don't know anyone who doesn't work for Tarn who knows how to use it. Isn't it Putnam who made that system? Just go be like, Putnam, release a guide, thanks. And do it for free, and do it yesterday. Because that's how timelines in this industry work, right? Cheers, Stoner. Appreciate you, mate. Checking, I got a round of beers for the diabetic Stoner. Subscribing at tier 1. Cheers, mate. I'll raise a glass to that. I know this is not a glass, nor beer, but it is coffee. Okay, I'm actually like changing my mind about a chunk of this. The only thing not dwarven about it is lack of Cavachons. I mean, it's just a Vile Force of Darkness. And the next thing I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to set green glass blocks to one-shot max. And that select, or sand to one-shot max. I'm going to go green, glass, tube, sand. Green, glass, corkscrew, sand. And let's do $200. 200. Would help if I clicked the next one. 200. 200. And lastly, 200. Did you actually make that your notification noise, Seer? Because if you did, I'm sorry. That would also be part of my sound pack. Like, Fortress Falls is like, I'm sorry. Instead of playing Vile Force of Darkness. Batome. He's giving birth to a girl. Oh, baby. Do not freeze yourself solid in a brick of ice. That would be very unfortunate. Because it could happen right there. But it hasn't yet, so that's good. Let's unforbid you and try to unforbid you. You have a plant stockpile immediately next to your farm, but the dwarves always run to your other food stockpile 100 steps away to drop off harvested crops, and you feel like you're missing something obvious. I need to check something on farms, because now I'm curious. So what you can do with plant stock... Okay, so first off, you should put seeds, not plants, near the farm. Unless you're talking about, like, because these are my seed stockpiles, right? I've just got the seed stockpile that's literally just, like, the crops that are in this farm. And the seeds aren't allowed anywhere else, so they just get put into these farms specifically. So that it could be that, partially. Also, I was going to start Dimple Cups, so I'm going to do that. So it could be that. Otherwise, usually what I do is I have a central stockpile. So in this case, it's over here. And then usually what I end up doing, so all the food goes into the stockpile, that's raw. And then when I end up with a bigger fort, I don't have a bigger fort right now, so I'm not worrying about it so much, but I will click this button, give items to this stockpile. So when they're done, they get put into that stockpile and moved over there. Stuff like that. Like, you could do that with individual stockpiles, but it's kind of hard to point at a particular way to fix the problem that you're having outside of, like, seeds. You want the harvesters to drop off right there? So what you could do, and this would be a little bit convoluted, but what you could do is you could set the one that you don't want them going to not do this, right? Toggle whether this stockpile can take items from anywhere or only from specific workshops or stockpiles. Click that. Then you could click all of the workshops and things that you want to go into that stockpile and tell them to give items to that stockpile. So like your kitchens or whatever. Then what you could do is you could go to the greens stockpile, and then you click this button, and then you set a give stockpile and set that to give to this stockpile. Or you could go to this stockpile and set a take location and tell it to take items from there. You could do it that way, but like the second you start doing that, you're kind of opening yourself up to optimization, but potential tedium. That's probably like your best bet. Of like the direction to go. There's too many items in these tiles for them to be able to actually do much. I want to say it's like one more. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's also slightly bigger than the lower one. That's fine. I'll just make them different. And just be like, I meant to do that. How to never get annoyed with things not being perfect is make them badly. Fucking Galaxy Brain plays over here. How to never do things wrong. Don't try to do them right. This is just kind of like a decorative mural thing at the bottom anyway, so. I was worried that would happen, but kind of hoped that they would just get there first. I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna finish this side, and then we're gonna build a pump stack, chat. Who's ready for pump stacking? Once pump stack's done, the fort should actually be defendable. So we'll attack the goblins again. Also, thanks to the 78 of you watching on the YouTube side. I do think that's the largest number of people that I've had watching on YouTube since I made the mistake of streaming not Dwarf Fortress for a week. How dare I? So, thanks to the YouTube folks for tuning in today. To the folks on YouTube, thanks as well. And thanks to those of you watching here on Twitch and those of you who have Pats next to your name, because you're the reason I get to do this for a living in the way that I do. So thanks for helping keep the channel funded and keeping me here playing video games. Because without you, I wouldn't be here. It sounds like a hyperbole, but it is true. TDM or just winging it? Yeah. Like, there's specific instances where I feel like it's worth it to wing it. And then there's instances where sometimes I'm like, yeah, okay, I will go through the extra steps to make this fucking thing work. You missed the last couple of days. It is what it is. Never had forever. I really hope that I'm able to get my YouTube channel up to 100,000 subscribers this year. I only need to get half of the subscribers that I got last year to pull that off. So it seems extremely doable. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. You both said wing it? Yes, it's the interdimensional mind connection that we have. It's how we travel across this country and keep it so well populated considering how big it is. There was a long-form shit post in this chat for a while of Canada being on the moon. Can't even remember where that came from or who started it or how it happened, but... Oy. My elbows hurt. Getting old over here. Are my full run videos doing well financially? That's a very long question, or a very long answer to that question, Lunatic. Yes and no. No, in that the last video that I made has made about as much money as I make in about 3 normal streams. When I take time off of streaming, I make less money for the next couple of weeks because people get out of the habit of tuning in and my view counts drop. Which is fine because I need to take time off every now and again, but like that's something that I need to take into account. In a vacuum, they're doing great. When compared to the fact that the majority of my money comes from streams, and it's kind of like a time investment risk when I make a big video. I have to take time off usually to get it done in a reasonable amount of time, or I burn myself out because then I'm just working 6 days a week, 7 days a week for a month and a half. So in that respect, no, because most weeks I would just make more money if I streamed. However, those videos existing in the long run, even if they do not well enough out the gate to be in the green financially, in the long run usually end up being successful financially. But it's like a lot of perspective combined with like balancing logical business, I guess. And like, what's the right thing for me versus what's the right thing for the community versus what's the right thing for me financially. It's tricky. I don't know. Right now is a weird time in general. So there's a lot of weird uncertainties. I think so. Is my answer. Although, since the holidays ended, this is just like me thinking out loud and not much to do with anything, but like every year things are a little bit different. And since the last round of holidays ended, everything's been bad. All money's been bad. Activity has been bad. Comments have been down. Engagement has been down on all platforms. And I don't know how much that is me. I don't know how much that is other games coming out. I don't know how much of that is people waiting for patches. I don't know how much of that is just, yo, holidays are exhausting. And then after the holidays, sometimes you just want to go do something else for a bit, which is fair. I get that. I don't know how much of that is like there's so many factors. It's like hard to say. So like I currently it's like I feel like I'm in a bit of a weird spot, but at the same time, like, who knows? I'm just going to put a garbage dump right here. I'll go up to here and just dump everything out of here. Because there is actually kind of like a lot of items and anvils and stuff mixed in with all this. It's going to take a while, but we've got a lot of dwarves, and so hopefully they can get this stuff moved. Totally. Absolutely. No, I do think that, like, those videos are worth making almost 100% of the time. There's been, like, one video I've made where I've kind of regretted it, but that's besides the point, as far as the bigger videos go. But I've always either learned something, but the question is, like, are they doing well financially is a very tricky one to answer, because the month I upload them, I almost always lose money unless they're one of the ones that just, like, takes off out the gate. So from my perspective, it almost always feels like they're not. And for the dozenth time in the time that you've been following my stream, click on your username, Batome. Follow age doesn't do anything in my chat. Never has. Never will. And the more times people type that command in, the more I will just say, just click your username. It'll tell you when the date you followed. So from, like, my perspective, it's like, you know, when you pour your heart and soul into something and it does really well, that feels good, and you get a lot of dopamine from that. When you pour your heart and soul into something and it feels like it's not doing well, even if it's doing great, you get rapidly diminishing returns, and it feels bad. Even if it's actually doing fine. And it's hard to tell. Oh, stuff's caving in. So the first dwarven caravan has arrived to trade. Bunch of shit's caving in from that forgotten beast. Is he still alive, or did you just kill yourself, beastie? He's probably still alive, right? Yeah. Just going around evaporating water. Breaking shit. There's also, like, this particularly interesting, kind of related, I guess, quote going around from Stu McKenzie, who's one of the founders of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, where he's talking about removing his music from Spotify, where he's just like, it's liberating to get your music off of Spotify, because if you feel like your art is connected to something evil, it's much harder to continue making it in a sustainable way. And I do kind of feel that. And, like, I think over my entire career, I've always been able to be like, well, you know, Google sucks, but I don't mind YouTube. YouTube's kind of okay. Or, like, you know, Amazon sucks, but I really like a lot of the people that work at Twitch. And it's getting harder and harder and harder for me to say that. And so as of late, I think making videos just like within the past year has taken more out of me than it has historically, purely due to that. Greetings, noble dwarf, they say to David. There's much to discuss. What a pleasant place you've carved out here for yourselves. There's much to share, and they've updated my maps. That's not even my faction. It's the other dwarven faction. Yeah, and also, please don't give me money if you don't have money. Give me money if you feel like giving me money because you can. Don't give me money because you know, feel you need to, I guess. Like, I'll put it this way. Last month was my worst month financially, last month being January, since Dwarf Fortress launched on Steam. It was the least money I've made in a singular month since Dwarf Fortress launched on Steam. Part of that was the last big video I launched was on the 14th of December, around the time ad revenue starts to go. I took 10 days off, and actually I took 11 days off, and combine that with just the state of the world, and I think a lot of people jamming cash under their mattresses, which is fair. Do that. Don't worry about me. If worst case scenario, I go to streaming 3 days a week consistently and make less videos and just go get a real job. And I'll say, kumbaya, this was fun while it lasted. But I don't think I'll ever really go away, even in the worst case scenario, if I can't do this full time anymore. But I would need every month to be 20% worse than last month for me to start going, this is bad. Taking a pay decrease sucks. Getting paid less sucks. But at the end of the day, I'll be okay, I think. So don't worry too much about me. Although if you want a big detailed readout, just go look at my most recent blog and it'll maybe help a bit or explain a bit. I don't know. Gigmoth, hello. It's good to see you. I'm babbling about nonsense that doesn't matter because I got stuck on a random tangent. What would you estimate the cost to be of taking the time to make one of those longer vids? Well, I'll put it this way. I don't know what you make an hour. But last year, after all said and done, after taxes paid, in Canadian dollars, in total, I made $28-ish an hour. If I worked 40 hours a week, which I don't. I usually work more, most weeks. So, if you take that into account, most of those videos, it depends how long it takes to make them. I'm not the fastest editor in the world. It takes me anywhere from 30 to 60 hours to make one of those videos. The last one I did took about 40.
Whenever I see a nice fort, I'll come over.
Appreciate you. Corpus dialect. Whoop. Or dialecty? Is that how you say it? I think that's how you say it. Thanks for the 8th. I feel like your name always, like, catches me off guard. Thanks for the 8 months. Welcome back. The 7 inches of... Oh, is that why it looks like a 7-inch? I was kind of going for, like a Power Ball from Dragon Ball or something. I was trying to make it look cool. This is all going to be covered in lava soon, so... Also, chat, can I get a round of beers? Please and thank you for the 8th month with Prime.
Vulpine Anthro.
Why am I named Blind?
X400.
I mean, you can call me Greg. It's not disrespectful. My right eye doesn't work at all. My left eye barely works. It's like I see basically through a toilet paper tube, but it's not quite that simple. I have really shitty vision. It started off as self-deprecating humor, and it's stuck. Like, it was a name that I gave myself as a joke one day while playing League of Legends. And it just kind of stuck. I don't know. But you can call me Greg if that feels better. You know, you adding me and talking about 33 RPM records and 45 RPM records and 33 1/3 RPM records, you do realize I have a 78 in that closet. 2 functional record players, 2 non-currently functional record players, and a record player that only plays 45 RPM singles. That doesn't work. You can't at me and be like, I'm old, it's a different cultural reference. Motherfucker, do not underestimate the power of millennial stupidity. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with this. It's not like cultural appropriation, because like having nostalgia for things that were older than you isn't really that. Fascination with antiques. I don't know where I'm going with this. Navel gazing? Sure. Retro vibes. I don't know. Never underestimate the power of Stranger Things to make people think analog was cool. Analog is cool. Basically, you're calling me old. Screw you, man. Preach. Wait, no. Stop. Bah. It works without a fucking app. Me making mixtapes on my computer is the way of archiving music from streaming services, and they will never catch me. They can try, but they'll never catch me. The Forgotten Beast, Lomoth Sutkish. has come. A huge feathered porcupine? Okay. It has 3 long hanging tails and a gaunt appearance. Its lilac feathers are long and narrow. Beware its hunger for warm blood. Millennial Whimsy is my new dream pop side project. You know what's sad? That actually is kind of true. And in order for it to work, you need to pay like hundreds of dollars a month. So it doesn't work for 90% of the people who use it. I have gray hairs. I started getting gray hairs at 15? What's your point? There are people who went bald at 12. Actually, that's probably an exaggeration. There's people that went bald in their teens. At least I still have hair. And also, I'm like, just because I'm the one person on planet Earth who doesn't dye his hair, if anything, I'm just honest. And humans are judgmental. Pieces of shit. Raising prices, mate? How do you miss that? Anyway, the Forgotten Beast. Where are you? That's the question. Hunger for warm blood usually means scary or really resilient. So that one I kind of don't want to fight with, actually. But we might see a Titan battle in a second because there's that other Forgotten Beast made of fire and all that jazz. I'm just going to try and make this a little bit more smooth looking. And then we'll go follow that beastie and see where it's at. Ah, well. Hello, Lomoth. Bone Sash the Fated. Killed a dwarf in year 1. I killed a duck and sprayed dome. I like this thing's tail. Or tails. I'm 16 and a half. Me? Dye my hair grayer? No, that's damaging to my hair. It's getting gray fast enough on its own time. I maintain that one of my favorite comments I got on YouTube last year was from a person who I'm not sure if they were just making a joke or trying to insult me or trying to be endearing. I literally couldn't, I can't tell what the tone of this person's comment was. But it was, this guy talks like a Zoomer and looks like a Gen X. It's incredible. And I just looked at that and turned to dust. I'm like, yeah, okay, I use some silly slang in my videos because I'm trying to be funny, but like, I look like Gen X, really? I'm like the end of the millennials. Like, I was like 2 years off of being a fucking Zoomer. Like, you just called me old in like 3 different ways, man. I'm upset. Not actually upset, but like rude as fuck, but also I don't think he's wrong. It's just, it hurts. In my videos, especially on the one that he commented on, which was the Gremlin video, I don't know, I make a lot of stupid comments. Ironically, actually, these days I'm not particularly terminally online. I was terminally online for maybe about a third of my life, but the last couple of years, not so much, actually. In fact, I think I should be online more. I think it would actually be good for my job, but I've had points in my life where I've been terminally online, absolutely, but not so much these days. Okay, so caverns are off limits for the moment. Caverns are most certainly off limits for the moment. I'm looking for dwarves that are brave. Looking for dwarves that are brave. By the way, we are $33 away from the daily minimum. $33 US. Just saying. I personally doesn't really see the point of working hard and doesn't particularly respect commerce. Sterling silver, indigo tourmaline. Sure, but like, you're tough and developed empathy. It's developed empathy that's like bad. There's a sense of duty though, and is brave. Okay, sure. Get in there, lie test. You have a puppy? You're frail. There's your pupper. Alright, which one of you monsters brought a pony? Patient, poor empathy, not lustful, not dutiful. Wow, this is actually like an example of a perfectly like neutral dwarf. Well, that's fun. I mean, I'm not denying that I look old. That's the only response I get on dating apps. It's always people accusing me of lying about my age and saying that they're gonna report me. I'm like, I'm 31. I don't know what you want me to say. All right, which is the main reason I don't use dating apps anymore, or I've given up. Where was I? Scrolling around in here. Fearful in the face of imminent danger. You are just gonna go live in the land of Unibrow and not worry about being in the military. Has a sense of duty. So far so good. He finds blind honesty foolish. You want to be a forgotten beast. I really don't want to give you a forgotten beast. So you can be slayed by a bunch of burly dwarves at some point. I'm going to let chat decide. Chat, can we give them a forgotten beast? Because I don't really want to, but I'll let chat decide. He has discussed it with eloquent speakers and values a harmonious existence and sees life as unfair and doesn't mind it that way. Like, I genuinely don't want to give you one because, like, there's no real way for me to check in on it or do anything. Like, I can't. Like, it's not going to have much of a personality. It's just going to die. Like, I guess so, but I don't know. The Legends is kind of making me rethink how I do naming a little bit. Because, like, if I name a chair, that's never going to be in Legends. Anyways, money aside, chat. The only thing I really need from you guys is just help keep that conversation moving. I can give you a forgotten beast after this is donezo. By that I mean once I'm done going through and naming a bunch of dwarves. Mostly just looking for dwarves that, like, aren't super easily stressed.
Afternoon.
What's up, Amber? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for the 19th month. Or 19 years, as some of the memes say. Like, this dwarf will do okay. Wrong dwarf. Actually, let's just jump to here. And also place those there. What's for lunch, Amber? I'm not sure if redeem or what you meant to send for your artist for custom. Yeah, I'd like to be a burly forgotten beast getting ripped to shreds by dozens of dwarves. Somebody's into that. I'm good, personally, but, like, you know. If it gets your knocks off, then go enjoy rocking your socks off, I guess. All right, do you want to be a ball of fire or a bloodthirsty whatever the fuck? Because there's two. There's ball of fire, which is the red one, and the bloodthirsty whatever the fuck. Fucking Lamau. You Willoughby in YouTube chat. I don't know why, but I find that funny. But yes, to answer your question in earnesty. Fireball, you want to be a ball of Cheetos? Kick, got it. I really like the colorized beasts, but I swear the blobs made of fire just look like a bowl of Cheetos that somebody dumped on the ground to me. Volpine Anthrop? I think I spelled it right. Anyway, you are a beast who has killed 5 dwarves. I will hold on this if you want to go look them up. Your last name is the Mangy Demon. Spidery Trenches. If you want to go look yourself up. Choctopus? No, that's a different thing, right, Dino? Anyway, it is pleased by its own appearance and burning! And it tends to assume that the worst of 2 outcomes will be the one that comes to pass. Mostly water. And it tends to not reveal personal information, and because it burns it. And it tends to consider what others think of it. It often acts with compassion with burning, and is moved by art and natural burning. I mean, beauty. It also has webs, by the way. So it shoots webs, and it's on fire, which is actually kind of fucking horrifying because it's an enormous blob composed of flame. It has wings and a bloated body. Beware its webs. So it's like spikes you to the wall with webs and then it makes you burn to death. Webs and fire? Mm-hmm. We can stop the fire. I haven't traded yet. I should probably do that. Let's see if I can. I sort of got distracted. I say sort of, not really. It's just, I've been kind of distracted all day, to be honest. It's just kind of been a distracting day. How you doing, Letteran, by the way? Good to see you. I hope your brain is doing okay. $155 shoes. That's a lot of shoes, my guys. You're awake? Well, that means that implies that you slept. Have you seen The Witch? Letteran? It's good. It's good that you slept. It's good that you slept. Why are the trade wagons in the caverns? Well, they didn't bring the wagons. The wagons couldn't get down the stairs. Mostly because the last time I traded above ground, I got invaded. So I'm like trying to keep them safer-ish. Which? The witch with 2 V's. The start. YouTube chat. The fire blob seems like the respectable fellow. Probably. Is it possible to trap a fire monster and use it as a mist generator? No. Because it creates steam, not mist, which is a different substance. It used to melt dwarves, but they stopped doing that at some point before I really started playing this game competently. Or rather, it wouldn't do anything positive if I did that, is the better thing to say. As far as things made of fire, though, there are fire snakes, which can be caught with the animal traps, but the thing about fire snakes is they have this, how do I put it, habit, I guess, of burning their way out of all cage traps that aren't lava safe. So like if you have a bunch of cage traps and you're like, I'm gonna catch some fire snakes, and the fire snakes are like, those are made of wood, you baby, then like you're not gonna have much luck. Yeah, that's all I got really. How about I buy the quivers and the backpacks? Except for the stupid expensive one. I just wanted to do a little bit of trading, nothing crazy. putting a dog in a cage made of steaks. I don't think this is a good way to give most dogs a tummy ache, but